Hello, people. Happy Wednesday once again. Shadow, Sarah, Dapboy Chuckles, Pandawama, how are you? Spirit Noodle, enjoy your lurk. Turtleman, Critty, no worries, Critty. I hope you're enjoying your vacation. Beer Lucario, no worries, enjoy your work. Your lurk and your work. And Mixodin and Benny Zakura. How's it going, everyone? I just realized I had the really clever idea of streaming the exact same time as the Xenoblade Direct, which was smart planning. Yeah, I got the Crollo shirt. I had the Poof one last week, Crollo shirt this week. The Attack on Titan OST finally came out in Berserk in a few days. Yes. When is the actual day it comes out? Is it Friday or Saturday? Either way. Neo Armstrong, how's it going? Yeah, Mixodin, people are very generous with gifting subs, so there you go. 24th? So Friday. Yeah, it is the 24th, that's right. God damn. Well, welcome in, everyone. Today we'll be continuing. I know, Turtle Man. It's crazy. Diego Lucio, how are you? Zephyrix, how are you? Yeah, I'm doing pretty well. Ginsan, how are you? Welcome in, everyone. Today we'll be continuing Chimera Ants. My shirt is inappropriate for the subject matter, but we'll make do. So last week we ended off at the end of 95, which was one of the best episodes in the entire series. This week I think we might have a tiny bit of a shorter stream, depending on where we can end off. I have a couple of cutoff points in mind that we could potentially get to. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, we'll be continuing. That's true, Critty. That is true. Makes sense. That is actually true. That's true as well, Sarah. Your shirt's very appropriate since the Phantom Troop episodes are next. True. Thank you, Zephyrix. What's the Meruem plushie saying today? He's chilling. He is chilling big time. Ark, how are you? 108 is a stopping point? No way, no chance. Can't do that. That would take too long. I'm thinking maybe Komugi's. We'll see. We'll see how far we get, and then I'll let you go. It might be pretty spontaneous where we end, but there's no way I can do 108. I don't think. Thank you so much for the resub, 2-month resub. Coil. Either way, thank you very much. Thanks for the awesome streams, been really enjoying them. And by the way, I bought volume 34 today, and I'm keen to read through it. Cool. That is one of the best covers. Actually, I won't show it, but one of the best covers. I hope you enjoy it. If you want that sub to go towards one of the donation goals, please let me know. Otherwise, thank you. And I'm glad you're enjoying the streams. Yeah, definitely Benny Zakura. I don't think it's a coincidence that we see those two quotes so close, well, relatively, comparatively, within the arc to one another. I definitely agree, though. The Gon Meruem parallels are mad for two characters who don't ever meet at all, except for Gon seeing him in the distance. That when he's walking outside. Cool, Panorama. I'm glad you think so. A lot of that is due to the contributions from chat as well. Do you have plans to discuss the manga after finishing the anime? Yes, we're gonna have a stream dedicated to Succession War, maybe two. We'll see how much we can talk about. It's gonna be tricky to kind of schedule it, or kind of structure it, because I don't want to go through each manga chapter the way I've been going through each anime episode. But we'll have at least a stream or two dedicated to Succession War stuff. Hey Joshua, nice to see you in. Things have been great. Things have been very good. I hope the same for you. Linked Hero, how are you? Slayer, how are you? Really? Why does Brad Pitt? I guess Brad Pitt is kind of a king at heart. The Gone video, got it. Gone video is at 90+%, which is awesome. Gilgamesh, how are you? And yes, Ashen Knight, I played. that's at least half the reason it's one of the best covers, Shadow. Yes, I played Legend of Heroes. I played Trails in the Sky, first chapter, and I played about half of second chapter. Maybe, Sarah, but I can't do like a 5-hour stream today. I can't do that. It's not possible for my schedule today. So I think it's more likely it's going to be on the shorter side. Yes, No Face. We're going to the manga after this for sure. And holy shit, oh my gosh, that's a slap to the face. A very welcome slap to the face. I mean, that woke me up. Thank you so much. Oh my goodness, you guys are mad. Okay, firstly, thank you very much for the sub with Prime, Neo Armstrong. If you want that to go towards a goal, please let me know. Thank you so much for the 10 guest. I appreciate it. I appreciate it so much. Thank you so much for your continued support. It's more than I deserve. You guys spoil me. Thank you so much. And let me know, just as always. Everyone who just got gifted, hope you enjoy the emotes and stuff. Brad Pitt could play a pretty great Shanks, yeah. I love that. Blacksmith, no, I'm not uploading them to my second channel anymore because they're being blocked. So to check out the VODs, you're going to have to go to Twitch, which is what I recommend all the time. Twitch VODs are better than YouTube VODs because of that. Not Aditya, how are you? And I hope it's worth it, Pandawama. Oh boy. Oh man. You are not late at all, Pawan Singh. We have not even started because people are just throwing me subs. Thank you so much for the 5 gifted, Sarah. Exact same to you. Thank you so much, Sarah. I appreciate it so much. Please let me know what you want that to go towards. Hey, Introverted, Gone Video, and Arcane. Okay. So that'll be. Oh man. Okay. Oh, okay. Hold on. Give me. Yes, I did take off the Naruto reward because I was being stretched too thin. I was watching and experiencing too many things. Okay, wait. Hold on. Plus 10 subs leftovers to Arcane. So I got guests. Gone One is funded by now, for sure, Sarah. I haven't heard the Attack on Titan OST. Is it not? Is it out officially? I saw it got leaked, but what happens to gift subs if everyone in the stream is subbed? They go to like, it's like Twitch does a priority thing where like if someone isn't watching but watches me often, it goes to them. It has some sort of algorithm for that, and it just keeps going lower and lower. So then someone who randomly watched me once for 2 minutes 3 months ago will get a sub eventually, if it just continues. You are right on time, Carps. No, Blacksmith, they'll be on Twitch for 2 months. 60 days. But I think that's plenty of time to keep up with it, at least. Will you do a collab with other YouTubers about Hunter x Hunter? I don't plan to. I'm not really sure what sort of collaboration I'd do. I'm not closing the door on it, but yeah. It's officially out. Okay, I'll listen to it like today or later today. Okay, Sarah, thanks very much. So +5 to Arcane. I'll do this math after. Oh my goodness. Okay, sorry guys. I promise we'll I promise we'll start in a second. And thank you for the resub, or was that a sub? For the 4-month resub, Vehement. Good morning, it's Goat X Goat time. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Vehement. You're not even late, Easy AZ ABC. No worries. Please let me know if you want that to go towards something Vehement and Neil Armstrong as well. In case I missed in case you didn't put it towards anything, or in case I missed it. Thank you so much, guys. Yeah, that's true. They might drop in again if they get a sub. That's happened to me a lot, where I've gotten subs for people I've just watched randomly once, and I go, oh damn, what are they up to? Okay. Hello, Mr. AJ, please collab with me, but all we do is discuss why Jing and Pariston should be higher on AO3. That is, for anyone who isn't aware, Jing and Pariston, AO3, for anyone who doesn't know, this is outside of my demographic. AO3 is the fanfiction website where ships are very popular, and you can look up the top ships for whatever series, right? Jing and Pariston is not even in the top 10 ships for Hunter x Hunter. And as far as I'm concerned, that's a criminal offense. It's a criminal offense. I loved your collab in that 1K on Mugi video. Yeah, that was funny. I just got asked to literally just read out a line, or like a paragraph, and I said, okay. I got some spare time this afternoon, and I did it, and people liked it, so that was cool. That would be nice, Pandawama. Malekith, okay. Thank you so much, Vehement. And, Malekith. Perfect. So Hannah makes me guess the top 10 ships in various series, and I'm often shocked by the results. A lot of the time, I'm pretty good at guessing them, but Jing Pariston not being there? Unbelievable. A crime against humanity for sure. And Aaron Reiner is in top 10 in Attack on Titan. Can you believe that? That's crazy. I did a collaboration video on villain antagonists? When did I do that? I don't even remember that. It shows that they don't read the manga. True. Okay, so I guess we can get into it. We've talked enough. we've shot the shit enough today. No, we haven't. Shooting the shit is always welcome, but we should probably start. But yes, there's your fun, unbelievably awful fact of the day. Aaron and Reiner is not in the top 10 Attack on Titan ships on there. Jing and Pariston is not in the top 10 for Hunter x Hunter. Ridiculous. Thank you for the follow, Plague is a Novel. And thank you guys again for the subs. Really appreciate it. So, continuing on in the Chimera Antarc, we just have the revelation. This music is too cheerful for this. We just had the revelation about Kite's, the true nature of what's going on with Kite. Gon just got his Nen back. He is in a very dark place. Things are very much gearing up for the final confrontation, even though, spoiler, there are 15 episodes before that properly starts. And it's the perfect time to check back in with with our favorite villain antagonist group. The top for Attack on Titan has to be Erwin and Levi. It is, what was it again? I don't know. Was it? I don't remember. Hannah, do you remember? Top 5 Hunter x Hunter ships. Oh man, I don't know. Okay, so, well, honestly, I put Jing Pariston in there. The Gon and Killua one is quite beautiful. I don't know if I am part of it, but I think it's a beautiful one. So it definitely got to be in there. Kurapika Leorio, Hisoka Illumi. Am I missing something obvious? Levi Aaron's one, correct. Yeah. Right. I forgot about Levi Aaron, because it's strange. And then one more is... Oh yeah, Meruem Komugi, obviously. I was thinking about non-canon ones. There we go, there's the top 5. Okay, and so these couple of episodes is sort of a continuous evidence of the fact that Togashi knows exactly when to shift perspective, when to organically bring characters back into the story, to have the events going on in the plot affect and further reach past what is right in front of our faces, right? Past what is right in front of us right now, if you get my meaning. And so we focus then on how the Chimera Ant outbreak starts affecting Meteor City, and how a portion of the Phantom Troop are reacting as a result, which I just love. It's just exactly what I wanted out of the story at this point in time. I think it was a great little detour. I think it was wonderful to check in with them and see what's going on. Very quickly just see the status of Crollo, because it's been almost 30 episodes since we've heard anything about the troop. Interesting, just to see their dynamics again. It's just a breath of fresh air. It keeps things variable. It keeps things really entertaining. And tonally it shifts things around. It was just all around. This is the perfect time to bring this back in. And yes, Finks. Something I'll say before we get into this is that basically... Oh, you were on the... Oh, okay, yeah. I guess I didn't consider a podcast appearance a collaboration, but yeah, you're definitely right, Panda Wema. And thank you for forgiving me. Oh, really, Spirit Noodle? To each their own, I suppose. What, Blossom Fully? I'm not sure what you're referring to. But yes, so kind of what Sarah alludes to here, just in general, what I love about these episodes is that, sort of after Uvo dies, and even more after Pakunoda dies, Finks becomes more prominent. He gets more prominent of a role in the story. He just kind of becomes more central, and you learn more about him and his attitude, the way he thinks about things, the way he acts towards his other family members, I guess you could say. And so I like this because Finks is pretty much, if not the primary Phantom Troop member in focus here, definitely one of them. And it's just good to learn more and more about Finks, because early on in York New, he doesn't really get a ton. And also what I love about this is we get some great stuff for Kaluto, some of Phaeton doing his Phaeton stuff. And we just get to see all of them shine in different ways. I've seen people say this section felt oddly placed, which I could never really understand. Act 2 ends on such a definitive note, and it really feels appropriate to take a quick detour. Yeah, absolutely, and it's still relevant, exactly. It keeps that sense of scale to the world and interrelatedness. And it made him your favorite member. That's cool. Hey, Time Lord. No worries. We haven't even started the episode properly. Suspect's fine. It's going well. Hope it's going well with you. No worries, Shadow Roamers. Have a great day. A collab is when I'm in chat typing a whole Attack on Titan video worth of text. There you go. When we did those Attack on Titan anime episodes, that was essentially a collab. I like Finks very much. At the end of York New, his moment was so small and important. Seeing him more was absolutely welcome. Yeah, the way he reflects on Pakunoda is just so weighty and affecting to me. And the way he thanks indirectly thanks Gon and Killua through her. And then that just continues in prominence in Greed Island when he starts. One would say probably partly due to it being a distraction, goes to Greed Island, does all his stuff. He becomes more central immediately, and then here, he feels very much like a leader here. Hey AJ, have you ever got ratioed on Twitter? Probably. Hasn't everyone been ratioed on Twitter? Everyone's been ratioed sometime. Exactly, an older brother kind of member here. That's how I look at it as well. And there's a cute little moment we'll see in, I think, the next episode that really illustrates that well. Thank you for the follow, Wolshay. Just came from the direct about your favorite game series, but thinks is cool. Not my favorite game series. You must be a bigger fan than me, Andres. I've been talking about Hunter x Hunter when the direct was going on. I hope it was a fun direct. Thinks is Sarahcore. Very based. Oh, thank you very much, Suspect Spine, but I actually already saw it. If I ever do an Amazon watch party, it would be for, like, Mad Men or something. Or maybe down the line, when enough time has passed after I saw it. But that's very generous of you, thank you. I'll definitely keep that in mind. Hello, Ming Ming. For sure, Vehement. Yeah, there are multiple moments. I'm thinking of one in particular. Oh yeah, and the revelation of Bonolanov. We basically get nothing for Bonolanov. This is the first time we actually get anything from him. Quick thoughts? It's very good. It's very good. And yes, I have Ginsan, like Sarah just provided there. You can check my mal for, if you're ever interested in what I've seen. So essentially this starts with a quick little news report. We see one of the most underrated characters in this story, IMO, Brovada / Bloster. And the Chimera Ants are expanding their reach as they try to make their own kingdoms and do their thing. Leol decides to eat this person to prove that he is a Chimera Ant, or the king of the lions, or whatever. The king of the kingdom, whatever he wanted to prove. So he goes, oh, okay, I'll eat you. And we just see how Chimera Ants are affecting basically everything. And then we see they're affecting our favorite troop as well. Bonolanov, Shizuku, Finks, Kaluto, Phaeton, and Shalnark. And so there are lots of interesting, there are actually quite a few interesting lines that I want to draw attention to. They're essentially just talking about how they've invaded here. Great shot here. I love this. I use this all the time as demonstrative of the overall vibe of Meteor City and the troop to an extent. Yeah, Phaeton is our short king. Your favorite arc is in York New City? Nope. My favorite arc is Chimera Ant. But York New is one of my favorite arcs overall in general. Who's the worst troop member? In terms of writing, I would say... Cortopi, I think. Oh, Waymond's... Suspect Spine. Waymond is easily my favorite character in that movie. Brovuda. Yeah, it's weird. They do that with a couple of names, Critty. They do say Brovuda. I can't get my mind around doing that. Yeah, Pandoema, I made like a 50-minute video on it if you're interested. That too, Josh, for sure. A Feast for Crows. This is absolutely a Feast for Crows. Yeah, so Bonolanov and Cortopi are probably the bottom two, but Bonolanov, because of the backstory we get here, is just interesting. Cortopi has nothing as substantial as the backstory we get for Bonolanov here, which is why he's the worst, in my opinion. And worst, obviously there's 13 members plus. I'm not saying this is a flaw or anything, but someone's got to be last. And then so they explore here. They're talking about the victims, because the Chimera ants have also really, really great shot here. There's a Chimera ant nest nearby that has been leading to lots of victims throughout Meteor City and transforming them. And this leads to one of my favorite lines: all these unmarked graves, right? In an abstract sort of way. Last in both arm wrestling and as a character. Poor boy. And so they bring up something right here. These people who've been collecting the bodies and doing everything here. The Council of Meteor City has a debate. The Council of Meteor City has a debate about whether to declare them dead or not, based on how they've been transformed, and if they can restore them to human forms or to their original forms. To which Finks just laughs. They can't avenge them because they're debating something stupid like that. And he sees this as missing the forest for the trees, for obvious reasons. And then he says something here. Nothing's changed. They always lose sight of what's important. And I've always thought this was an interesting line. Perhaps alluding to why he maybe wanted to leave in the first place. Part of why he wanted to leave in the first place. Maybe part of why the troop wanted to defect, and obviously there are more important reasons for why they left and explored the world and everything, but maybe there were ideological disagreements with regards to the way these people viewed the world and how to, the way forward. They always lose sight of what's important. I just always thought that was interesting. Yes, I have seen 99, Hunter x Hunter, Wolshay. If you're interested in knowing what I've seen, you can check out my My Anime list. But yeah, I've seen 1999. Paku is the second best character in the Phantom Troop. Very based. But yes, yeah, like Andre says there, the little moments like that are really... Even little moments like this alluding to interpolitics in Meteor City that kind of relates to the whole political themes throughout Chimera Ant as a whole, it's really interesting. But yeah, I think we can skip through quite a bit of this. We have our queen here, with her love stinger. These dogs, this is horrifying, by the way. I've always kind of found transformations from human to non-human things in media to be quite disturbing. This is no different to me. And it's just interesting how there's this idea of paradise, and Zazan being the queen here. Yeah, I agree. Phaeton probably looks the coolest here. So they make their way in here, and very Phantom Troop-esque. At the same time, Kaluto's kind of being put through the ropes. This is a bit of an initiation of sorts, but I mean, Kaluto's been there long enough to understand the Phantom Troop's customs, but still not fully... he doesn't feel fully to be fully a part of them just yet. So this is part of the extended initiation, I guess you could say. Just through what you get through the internal thought processes we get from Kaluto throughout this. SpongeBob turning into a holy shit, Andres, that's like one of the first examples that comes to mind. You read my mind. I really feel like rewatching Hunter x Hunter is a must, because there are so many things that can go over your head on the first watch. Chimera Ant's packed with so much, it deserves an analytical watch through for sure to just see and understand, everything Togashi tackled. Yeah, I've said a bunch of times that I haven't properly appreciated Chimera Ant until my second watch through. Like, properly. There's just so much there. It's impossible to grasp everything, I think, the first time round. And And yeah, the Phaeton Hiei parallels are very much there. Thank you for the follow, Paroli. Any excuse to rewatch Chimera Antark? I'm down. Tonight, Hannah? We can forget about Umineko. We can forget about the manga. Just rewatch the whole arc. We can dilate time and do it in one night somehow. And so there's this element of kind of friendly competition, but nonetheless, hiding your abilities from them. There's this element of competition throughout here. Obviously, they're on the same side, they're in the troop, but there is that element of there's a void left with Chrollo gone. And Kaluto, in a bit of a parallel to Ramot, I think, sees that throne unoccupied and goes, the more strides I can make towards it, the closer I'll be. Oh, we'll get there in a second. But I see some very slight Ramot parallels there, which is interesting. Second Twilight. I can't wait. Whose Nen ability out of the troop is your favorite just for coolness? Chrollo. Not hard at all for me. Chrollo, easily. But yeah, so they do their fights. We have Best Boy. I thank you for the follow, Bolts in Charge. I'm sorry for that. Thank you for the follow, Akalam. And we have Benolinov, who fights the dude, the ant who killed Ponzu. We don't like him. Who then removes his wraps and then does his little tribal dance that's characteristic of his tribe. And yeah, we just get a neat little backstory. It expands the world. It adds an element of culture and a new race, or new race, just a new and distinct culture. Maybe race might be appropriate. I don't know. But the Guidondons, and just these customs surrounding why they have holes throughout their body and how they use their bodies as instruments, and they have these tribal dances as a result of it. It's just cool. And whatever, how long does this take to explain? A minute? It takes like a minute to explain that backstory, and then how it coalesces into his character design, his fighting style, why he's strong. It's just so efficient. It builds the world, it makes him more interesting as a character. It's really cool. This OST is... What's this OST? Tell me this OST right now. Blossom Fully, I'm not able to check out chat while I'm talking. Like, when I have a thought, I don't look at chat. But this is in Japanese, so I don't know the name. Sorry. It's from Haikyuu Season 4. Episode 97 is the best episode in Hunter x Hunter because Pike dies. Fair reasoning. Fair reasoning. No, Pandawema. When I watched Hunter x Hunter, it was 2015. So, yeah. It was late 2015 when I watched Hunter x Hunter. Thank you, Turkish. Pike slander is insane in the streams. In these streams, Togashi literally sets him up for slander. I did not mean for that to be slanderous to his tribe. I think it's really cool. I'm complimenting it. Who's the member from the troop you want to know his backstory? I don't really need to know anyone else's backstory from the troop, but if I had to choose one... Shizuku. Yes, Isaiah, welcome in. Only the OG Phantom Troop members are from Meteor City. It's not confirmed. I think it's ambiguous. There's a possibility, yeah, like what Shadow says, there's a possibility that they're all from there, but it's only confirmed, the only confirmed ones are the OG. The other ones maybe as well, but obviously Kaluto isn't, so it stands to reason that not all of them are. especially with the rule of replacing. I'm not sure, Paroli. I'm not sure about power levels, but aside from knowing that Cortopi is the weakest when it comes to arm wrestling, so that whatever that counts for. I find it really interesting that this familial group with similar levels of disenfranchisement allows new joinings from completely unrelated backgrounds like Kaluto. Yeah, it's really interesting. It's a really interesting meritocratic system. I think it feeds into the competition aspect that we see in these episodes and chapters. That is interesting because it's not what you'd assume to be the case with regards to that familial bond, right? They have with one another. But it's there. And the way I tend to conceptualize it, Andres, and how those two things go together is that it's all in service of making the troop stronger. I don't know if it's more important than the feeling of home and family. Probably not more important, but it's nearly as or equally important to the idea of that, because ultimately the spider has to persist. To do that, keep progressing stronger. Keep it as strong as possible. Hey Adam, it's going well. Togashi has not said that. Togashi has not refuted Hisoka's backstory. Togashi's a fan of Sui Ishida's backstory, as far as I know. So until we're told otherwise, I think you can consider it canon. Thank you, Blaze Rage. Yeah, they're all from different cultural heritages, for sure. Yeah, and Meteor City, they don't have a cohesive identity in the first place, so exactly. Okay, let us continue. And yeah, Kaluto does have a bit of an ego, a tiny bit of one. But I don't have much to say about the actual fights. It's really cool here to have Shalnark doing this and going DBZ, which doesn't happen yet. Finks fights basically something close to a kindred spirit here in Gorilla Ant here. He winds up, he does his thing. Every time he winds up, his punch gets stronger. Karmic Loop, interesting name given the Phantom Troop's preoccupation with fatalism, or fate in general. Karmic Loop. I need to change this song or else I'm gonna cry. That's interesting, Pandoema. Turkish, you can go to the beginning of the VOD for this, for me explaining my thoughts on it, but I think it's great. I disagree completely that it's a waste of time. For the TLDR. Until Togashi does his own chapter for Hisoka and does it better. You said it so I didn't have to. The Sui Ishida backstory chapters for Hisoka are fine. You know, they're decent. They're solid. So, you know, if you want to consider them canon, go ahead. I think Togashi encourages that. Yeah, a lot of characters' powers are connected to their past and or personalities and the culture they come from. Bonolanov is a great example of that. Silva, stay away from the troop. Killua gets captured by them twice. Ilumi gets... careful with that one, Shadow. Kaluto freaking just joins them. Oh, gets hired by them. I spoiled more than I thought you did. If you haven't read the manga, just ignore the past 30 seconds. Finks has such a cool ability. He's like Elden Ring players who, before a duel, take 5+ damage buffs, while their opponent just waits. Finks, is Finks an enhancer? I don't remember. Finks has to be an enhancer, right? It literally blows him up into pieces. That's cool. Shizuku fighting someone who's kind of stupid like her. Shelnar fighting another manipulator. Finks fighting, like you said, a kindred spirit. Every fight in Hunter x Hunter has so much meaning. Yes, that's true. They all fight members that in one way or another are appropriate. And this is one of my favorite shots with regards to the Phantom Troop as a whole. Just their whole preoccupation with the coin rule, and again, that fate. Let us see this. Oh yeah, he really does, doesn't he? Titan Ripper Cyclotron. Alright, Viz. But yeah, he literally blows them into pieces. While overall strength is definitely important to the troop, I think they prioritize enjoying their lives. Often they look for a way to turn the situation into a game and compete. True. It's very cohesive. Like, any one of their actions has 3 or 4 reasons behind it that are contributory to the troop culture and ethos in one way or another, right? He is an enhancer? Cool. Hey, Ningen Shoot. How's it going? Okay, and then we continue. Oh, and then I love Shelnar's smile here. Shelnar is the most casual, unassuming troop member once in danger, in a which says a lot, because the Phantom Troop, when they're in danger, don't tend to panic much. And then he turns on his autopilot. Very cool. I don't have much to say about it. It's just very Shelnark. It's cool. We have Pike and Shizuku. The less said about Pike's... Shizuku does a great deed this little detour is what I'll say. Yeah, I love the coin shot. And then this from Kaluto. So Phaeton challenges Zazan, very appropriate, and then this from Kaluto. So this is one of my favorite little powers. I don't know why I'm saying little a lot today. Forget the little. One of my favorite powers and abilities, creating these paper cutouts of the family to hear what they're doing at... okay, so this is integrated. Kaluto uses paper, basically, for combat, but for this as well, to hone in on what they're saying, to keep an eye on them and hear what they're saying at any given time, with all of them holding hands. So to the imagery of that, the imagery of this new family of Kalutos, quote-unquote, holding hands and speaking so that you can know what they're doing, apply that to Kaluto's family life and why that might have even been brought up in the first place. Them holding hands, the cutesy cutouts. It's very sad to me if you think about why this might have come to be in the first place. That loneliness, that want to be, that desire for a happy family, and how it manifests in these sort of paper cutouts. But yeah, it's very useful for sure. The Pike Shizuku fight is one of my least favorite. Yeah. We'll skip a few Pike lines. I don't know why I always headcanon Netsudo as an emitter, even though I just Google he's an enhancer. Just thought it would be really cool if an emitter was the height of strength in the series, since they're very underrepresented in the big players. Yeah, that is true. A lot of times, emission powers, emitter abilities, tend to be secondary for the big characters. We have... well, I'm just primarily thinking of Gon. But yeah, that would have been cool. Kaluto does have some of the standout shots this episode. I think I want to show one off. So this is one. I just like this. It's very pretty. Yeah, Razor carries for sure. And then the eye shot here. This is kind of nice as well. And then there's an illustration, I think, coming up. It could easily be the guidebook, Critty. I think it could be. And then where's the one I'm thinking of? But just in general, Kaluto's presented really well. Meandering Dance. Was it this one? I don't remember. Either way, Kaluto's illustrated really well and presented really well. Right, Hannah? Yes, you can very much tell that. Just through the eyes. But yes, Bonolanov dispatches this guy. He's a little bit raw, to be honest. And I like the visual effect as it goes in and out of focus to show his disorientation. He goes after him with the speed of sound with Jupiter, and he's done. Crushed to death, an appropriate death for a bug. This is really smooth, interestingly and smoothly animated, and then it just ends basically right there. Part 1 of the Chimera Phantom Troop Detour. And then so they've dispatched their respective opponents. This one. This is the one I was thinking of. This is so cool. Oh. Kaluto kinda raw. I really like that illustration there. Phaeton continues to fight. Then they all, very similar to Uvo. Also, I like this shot. Shizuku beats Pike. Moving on. Shizuku's adaptable. Shizuku's clever. But I love how the thing that I do like is that at the end of this, what she essentially does is suck the blood out of him with Blinky, which is flexible, adaptable, pretty clever. But I like how she literally goes, "Oh, why didn't you just stop your bleeding with the webs that you shot out?" I guess we're both kind of stupid, very self-aware. That cut was good. Andres, stop. You gotta just rewatch the anime. I'm telling you, dude. Sorry for yelling. But you gotta at least watch the prioritized episodes. You should check out Gon vs. Hisoka. Check out some of the action-centric ones. Check out 95. Check out 126, 116, 131, 135, 136. You gotta rewatch the adaptation, my dude. The Jupiter attack uses a piece of music from Gustav Holst's The Planet Sympathy. That's cool. I had no idea. About that. A running theme with Phantom Troop abilities being space-related. That is true. That is true. Big Bang Impact, Jupiter, Rising Sun, and Shizuku's being like a black hole. Yeah. Don't move on too quickly. Here, let me show it. I can't block anymore. Oh no. And there you go. Oh, there you go. Is that good, Sarah? The boy is gone. And then, so this is what I was kind of alluding to earlier. This is, in my opinion, the moment that I see a parallel with Ramot 4. Like, Kaluto had ambitions of rising up the hierarchy quickly and proving himself, but he's seeing here the sheer scale of the troop. They were already here, just enjoying the show. I wasn't slow. Like, what the hell? And he's just in complete awe at the scale of this. And then little smile. Also, this is a cool shot. And so it's but as opposed to Ramot, if we're continuing that comparison, Kaluto ends up being it demonstrates a lot of Kaluto's pride and ego that must have festered as a result of similar reasons that Killua got those character traits. But Kaluto kind of smiles and accepts this as a little bit of a challenge, which is interesting. Yeah, the Ramot moment is amazing visual storytelling. And nothing of value was lost. Yeah, this is 97. This is episode 97. It is one of the most terrifying ways to die in the series. That's horrible. Couldn't have happened to a better person, though. Or ant. There we go. I'm still too weak. And then I don't have a lot to say about the Phaeton stuff here. It's generally cool. Zazan transforming is... It's a nice fight. And also this shot. Love the shadowing here. And then it really... Something that I think is interesting is it really demonstrates... Because Phaeton very quickly flicks a switch between... Like this very aloof, casual approach, role in the story. He's kind of unassuming and aloof and funny in a lot of ways. But then he flicks a switch and he can be incredibly sadistic and cruel. And this is where you see that side. Eventually, soon. And then here is where Fink starts sort of mentoring Kaluto a little bit, which I find cute. Talking to him about how Phaeton is, what he's doing with regards to his Nen, why he kind of stumbled a bit, why Zazan is a good opponent. Yeah, he speaks backwards. I love the days I can catch peak fiction with the peak. Thank you, Tommy Strong. I love it as well. Always love having you in here. I love how much this fight reminds me of Uvo, how they know what's coming when Phaeton acts certain ways, just the jovial nature of it all, good vibes. Yeah, that's what I was about to bring up, because like this is very similar to when they were overlooking Uvo and just going, oh, do you want help? Okay, and they're just playing cards. And they're just kind of looking on here at Phaeton's fight, and just going, this is a race, we use order of arrival if he loses. Kind of cute. Yeah, it's just that whole vibe of them being spectators and just being very casual about it. It continues, it maintains. Even though 2 members die, that whole culture continues. And then so yeah, this is sort of the encapsulation of that Ramot parallel. I thought I could become number 2 in no time, where Ramot thought he could be the king, but regardless. But I'm utterly outclassed. It's hopeless, but I won't give up. Attack on Titan in a nutshell, by the way. I'm used to toughing it out. Very sad line here. Kaluto has some really efficient lines. Yeah, true. Kaluto realizing there's not even a number 2 in the first place. But I'm used to toughing it out. Very sad. And then this, which is important for a bunch of reasons. But then this line here. All for the sake of retrieving my brother, no matter how long it takes. And so it makes you kind of think, how is Killua going to be retrieved? They think in a very hierarchy-like manner, yeah. Exactly, because that's how they've come to understand life in general due to the family they grew up in. And yes, this picture combined with this line. So, firstly, the line, retrieving my brother no matter how long it takes. The Phantom Troop, being in the Phantom Troop, is it a means to an end? Is it a way to get strength? Kabuto was very focused on becoming number 2 and proving strength and going up in the hierarchy. Is it similar to why Kurapika sort of used the Nostrad family stuff as a method, as a means to an end, as a method of delving into things that you wouldn't otherwise be able to gain access to? Is it to become stronger? How exactly in their mind will that help to retrieve Killua? There are a lot of gaps to be filled in there, but there's lots of subtext and ways to reflect on the material we've gotten so far to make a bunch of different things plausible. The Zoldyck family in general uses a lot of subtext in the writing, particularly with Illumi a lot, but Kaluto's a big one as well, Miluki as well, Kikyo, and then this picture. Combine that with this picture of Kikyo just fawning over Killua here. This one forgotten in the back. These two not getting any affection. Kaluto as well, but grabbing onto his mother, trying to vie for attention. This screen does so much for the Zoldyck family dynamics, for Kaluto, potential motivations. It's great. Yeah, absolutely. They are, Andres. They're very characteristic of the Zoldyck family writing. Lots of subtext, tons of richness packed into little lines and details. Yeah, this picture has none of them smiling, except, like, kind of, Kikyo. Yeah, and exactly Tommy Strong, reaching to a mom who clearly shows her favorite. These two episodes did a lot for many characters, Feita, Kaluto, and Finks being the most prominent ones for me. Kaluto and Finks shot up in my favorites a lot after watching this. This is so great. Like, I said that Finks was prominent, but, in terms of elevating a character, I think it elevates Kaluto the most, just through these little bits. It's really efficient. And yeah, Silva not even around for this family photo. But yeah, just a great little tidbit here. And then Phaeton's left arm gets broken, to which Finks is quite happy. There goes his left arm. This is literally Shadow personified. Faye want to change places? And then he does his speech. I love the effect here. And they just go very similar to Ubo's Big Bang Impact. Finks again sort of mentoring Kaluto a little bit. And Kaluto kind of wants to observe here, but Finks just goes, no. We gotta get out of here. I really like the effect here. And then here is the moment I was talking about. Or actually, there are two moments. This is one of them. The aura is a banger. Yeah, Pain Packer, burned by the sun. Kind of epic. And then this. I love this. Big Brother Finks. The two characters most elevated by this little detour. He does care. He does care. Yeah, no one can really accuse Phaeton of not being super strong, right? Right, Shadow? I love this. This is one of my favorite little moments in these two episodes. Hey, Rinnegan. How are you? So yes. And then Phaeton just continues his sadism here. What's wrong? Make use of that tough body you're so proud of. And great effects. It just presented really effectively. And then I love this. As they just pop their heads out. I don't know. Very endearing. And then they make their way out of it, and then they see the mutated people that were supposed to become members of Zazan's paradise, subservient to Zazan. And then we have this moment, which is maybe my favorite. I don't know if it's my favorite Finks moment, but it's definitely right up there. And we have these people, or these mutants now, who just want to be put out of their misery. Please kill me. You have to wonder what Phaeton went through in his childhood and training to develop that ability. You have to wonder that with so many of these characters, right? But yeah, how did he become this way? The implication is enough, right? The implication of where he's at now, where he was in the beginning, what the troop stands for. His backstory could easily be very ghastly, or who knows? Maybe he just, aside from the Meteor City part, maybe he just was born that way. Who really knows? But yeah, in this parallel with Killua, like what Shadow says, to gain that affinity for heat, Phaeton would have had to burn himself quite often. In the same way, Killua had an affinity for electricity because of being electrocuted as a kid. Not the last time we see a star-related ability in the series. True. Yeah, Phaeton's cackle is really good. I'll play some. I'm trying to not use as many sounds for this stream, so I can potentially upload it on YouTube. But here and there, I'll definitely show the sounds. But yes, we have "Please Kill Me" from these. This might be my second favorite Finks moment. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. But please kill me. These things just want to be put out of their misery. They don't want to exist like this. And this slow panning shot of Finks, the back of his head here, we don't see his face. I think it does quite a bit. And then he just smiles. I don't do mercy killings. Attack me. You're living in this place. Oh, and then the cuts here. This is so good. And then it cuts to Kaluto. Amazing shot. Finks. Phaeton. Bonolanov. Shizuku. Shalnark. All the cuts. Just love how they're illustrated. And then the silence. And then the sound ramps up here. All right. But what I like here is that this alludes to what Finks was saying earlier. He was very upset at the folks in Meteor City for not taking retribution and carrying out punishment and for the Chimera Ant and Zazan and everyone for attacking them. They were preoccupied and missing the forest for the trees, right? I think that line in combination with this line, because Finks says, attack me. You want to die? But you were living, he says here, you were living in this place, right? Defend your home, or defend where you were living. So Finks, I think, with these couple of lines, these couple of moments, Finks has a bit of a preoccupation with wanting to defend the place that you call, maybe not home, but where you're living. And a big disagreement with those who aren't able to do that, which is just interesting, an interesting tidbit for his character. But you're living here, weren't you? And then the cuts here, the silence and the voice acting, it's so good. And then the postcard memory. You can die with a bang. And what's notable is he does it. They ask for death and he obliges. And then he kind of alludes to that again. Also, Shizuku had lost her clothes, so he gives Shizuku his, whatever you would call this, his clothes. He gives it to her. Big Brother thinks again. And then they get a call from Nobunaga asking for help with a job. And then I hate having to wait. This music is not appropriate. But I hate having to wait. Yeah, things hating Nobunaga is so funny. And then he tosses also like the duality of Phaeton, right? What did we just see him doing? And then this this little chibi face in the corner, and then I like how Shelnark looks genuinely concerned. Like, when does Shelnark ever look concerned about anything in his life outside of like Uvo's death? but when Finks is throwing rocks at him, big problems. And then Phaeton's face in the back. Oh man, like look at this dude. But yeah, if you weren't sold already, kind of like what Shadow says there on Phaeton and his attitude towards Finks, this should pretty much show that he does have some element of as much affection as Phaeton is. Like, affection is not the word that I would apply to Phaeton, but his version of affection towards Finks. I think that's clear with that scene at least. Thank you for the follow, Fall Rain. He is having a blast. And then so we cut away from our detour, and Gon and Killua are infiltrating the Republic of East Gorto as the selection ramps up. And it begins in 9 days, with Meruem looking none too pleased. Great couple of episodes. I really like the York New or Phantom Troop detour. I think it's wonderful. I salute you from Italy. Always a pleasure to see you. By the way, have you seen Psycho-Pass? What do you think about it? Thank you for joining in from Italy, Star-Lord. If you're interested in my thoughts on anything I've seen, you can check out my MyAnime list, which is just linked right there. But I made a couple of videos on it, so you can check those out. Or actually, one of them got taken down. So I made one video on it. You can check that out. But TLDR, I love Psycho-Pass Season 1. I think it's wonderful. It's got some of my favorite characters in the media. Last thing to say about Phaeton, I don't buy the theory that he's somehow a lost family of the Zoldyck, a lost member of the Zoldyck family, but I do like the idea of him being related to Kikyo instead, since we know she comes from Meteor City and he does look similar to Miluki, who resembles her. I've never bought into the idea that he's a lost Zoldyck family member. I could easily be proven wrong, but that just doesn't seem like Togashi writing to me. Like, people theorize about all sorts of things with Hunter x Hunter, and a lot of them could be conceptually plausible. Like, they can't be denied or proven wrong, a lot of them. But has Togashi really had that sort of approach to writing, where it's just like, it means that one of them has this family heritage that was hidden behind this whole thing? Yeah, Kikyo is from Meteor City, yeah. And I like the blending of the Zoldyck family and Phantom Troop storylines as well. There's some thematic coherence between both of them, for sure. I've just never really bought into those sorts of theories about Phaeton. It just doesn't seem congruent with Togashi's style of writing, to me. But who knows? I could easily be proven wrong in the future because we're getting chapters. I saw a theory yesterday that we don't see Gon's mothers because Gon was a card from Greed Island. Yeah, stuff like that, I just don't buy into it. It just doesn't seem... It doesn't seem congruent with Togashi's style for reasons that I find difficult to articulate. But hey, it's not impossible, I guess. It's true, Kevin. Away from Kevin. Phaeton, being an expert in torture, also has an ability that deals also with the concept of pain. Yep. Also, pregnancy stone theory, I literally don't know what that is. I've seen people talk about it a lot. I have no clue what it is. Okay, and then we have Leol and his crew not doing too well after leaving the nest. And they find Escorto. We see they bow down to Poof here, into the palace, never a bad thing. Also love the condescension here from Poof. Let me change this back. Poof looking down on people, and with his little smirk. Love it. Yeah, so much for wanting to be king on your own, right? Okay, I actually don't have a lot to say about the first half or so of this episode. There might be a couple of lines that I want to draw attention to. It's quite the spoiler. Okay, then maybe hold off until a later stream, Concerned Bud. But yeah, thank you. Crying, throwing, that's my boy. I miss him. Oh, I do too. I miss every element of Poof. Pregnancy Stone is a card from Greed Island. If you carry the stone with you, it'll make you pregnant regardless of sex. So that's the theory. I now wish I didn't know what Pregnancy Stone was. But thank you for the explanation, Sarah. That's understandable, Hashi, but that... I don't know. I've never bought into it. So a lot of this has to do with the logistics and, like, it shows Killua's intelligence with regards to how the populace will respond, the plans of the Chimera Ants, how they're putting this selection process together, the hierarchies. It shows how learned Killua is, and I'm really a fan of that. And it's very accurate, a lot of the things he's saying, which indirectly does quite a bit of good world building and insight into the Chimera Ant's thinking. Gon short circuits or overheats, which I always love. And Killua knows a lot about this because, like you said there, Zeno infiltrated and was able to tell them about it. So they see all these towns or little villages that are evacuated. They see the remnants, and also just nice little detail, Dago pictures framed in these houses. The reverence and the worship is on an unbelievable level. Also, like, something happened here. You think so? There's a few blood trails there. But yeah, they do a sloppy job covering it up. This shot is really good, I think. To Zeno, oh yeah, that's true. To Zeno being Netero's companion into the Rose. If Jing was the type of guy to just hook up with girls, I think, honestly, Jing could be that type of guy, and he could also be the sort of really shy, bashful one who isn't into that sort of thing at all. I think I lean more towards one of those two. That's true, Shadow. I didn't think about that. But yeah, also nice shot here. We have Pito looming over them in their shadow, no matter where they go. Very nice visual storytelling there. And then, so yeah, the selection of pretense for entire populations of towns and cities to vanish without raising suspicion. It's just general good exposition. Makes sense. But yeah, I don't have too much to say about it. And then the sheer populace. And then how, this is important, using manipulation to this end. The shot of Kite. Yeah, something like that seems more likely to me as well, Shadow. I always love Killua flexing his intel and knowledge and strategizing and thinking skills. His upbringing did have some positive outcomes. He knows his shit when it comes to a lot of things. He's very street smart. Zeno infiltrated East Corto before, so he has all this knowledge. Yeah, and what's notable is that Killua absorbs it all and retains it. Like, it's one thing to be told this, but it's another to completely be able to absorb it and, like I said, retain it and be able to apply it to different sort of situations. Jing Tsundere vibes? Absolutely. And I love this shot. Just of this army with the skulls in the foreground here. Very hellish. And then Killua brings up their idea of disrupting it. Causing havoc. They'll detect us quickly, but, you know. That's essentially, the first half of this episode is essentially explaining all that and talking about the plan they'll do. And that's our main mission, to disrupt all of this. Sorry, that's Killua's main mission. Gon has to focus. Killua here, this is sort of an encapsulation of their relationship once more, right? Gon runs ahead, focused on whatever he's focused on, while Killua cleans up all the mess in the background. This isn't necessarily cleaning up, but it's doing what needs to be done, all the prep work for Gon to just focus on Pito. And Killua just says, just focus on that, I'll stir things up. Thank you for the follow, Varandar. And no offense, but I work more easily alone. I got it. And then here. Even if people are being killed right before your eyes, don't be impulsive, don't make a move. Hey, Wolfman. How's it going? And hello, Juviole Grace? Sorry, pronunciation. First time chat, welcome in. And thank you for the follow, Rainy Mayonnaise. Me too, Anna. Not even if people are killed before your eyes do you make a move. And then, again, we've talked in past streams about how Gon is very perceptive of when something is bothering Killua. Excuse me. Thank you, Time Lord. And so Gon can sense Killua being on edge here. Which is funny because Killua is on edge because he's on edge. And he understands what he's barreling towards. So his Killua here, and then Killua just goes, it's nothing. Don't worry about me. It's just a build-up of so much of a lack of communication here that can only really, in the end, with what the plot is heading towards, lead to one outcome. There's so many feelings buried. And things being reinforced and enabled that would only ever lead to something devastating. And then we have someone observing our boys. Someone who's definitely not a pretty cool character. I really love how at the end of the scene, Killua asks Gon to look away when people are being killed right in front of him, and like 2 scenes later, we see Knuckle asking Shoot, you want me to turn a blind eye if people are killed? This episode's great for that, the parallels like that. Oh, I love that scene. Feels like a direct continuation in considering the parallels between Gon and Knuckle. Knuckles' response and actions immediately after demonstrate to us how Gon most likely feels and would like to act as well. That's a great observation. I was going to draw attention to the Knuckle line, but I didn't. It slipped my mind to talk about it being a parallel with Gon. Plus, what we have with Morel and Nav knowing how fully fledged adults feel about it too. Yes, it's important. The difference in experience and perspective is really important because they feel very similar things as well. Even in that dynamic, we see Morel show more emotion regarding the sacrifices than Nav. Yeah. I really love especially the back end of this episode. Yeah, and Shoot, like Hannah says there, we'll get to that scene in a second, but Shoot literally says, I'll take it on. I'll do it if I need to. Yeah, Morel, Knuckle, and Gon are on one side of the emotion and perspective when it comes to this, and Nav, Shoot, and Killua on the other. So peak, Andres. When are you going to get to Twilight? I love how Killua is the one to volunteer and cause a commotion while Gon stays hidden. Very fitting for this arc. And then, yep, we have... Also, I love this. I can tell he's strong. And then Killua notices literally Melioron. Like, what the hell? This guy... And then they separate. Also, immense taste listening to Lacrimosa. And so yeah, Nav and Morel doing very clever under-the-table things to gain intel. With, what's this guy's name? I forget his name. Melioron saying Killua has as much potential as a squadron leader really does make... Marcos, right. Thank you, Sarah. I can always count on you. Really does make me wonder how he would fare against the Phantom Troop members here. Killua would be the one that Kaluto kind of looks up to and goes, the gap is enormous, I would think. Maybe not as much as Phaeton. I don't know. You guys know me in power scaling. But so they're very clever here. And then so Hannah and I were watching this the first time, and one of the things that Hannah picked up on was how they work so well together, not just in terms of... Because earlier in this arc, a few episodes ago, we see them working together and how they coordinate their abilities to capture a bunch of ants to send to Netero, and you can see that there's a familiarity there and a chemistry that shows the experience they built up together. But then here, we have Morel being very jovial and going, oh, yeah. The lives are on the line as well, and then he's upset internally because this guy, Marcos, is not claiming agency for the atrocities that he's complicit for. But you talk like it doesn't concern you, exactly. But in a second, the wine you're drinking and the room you're standing in are built upon those, following that bastard. And then Nav just looking on in the back, like, I know what you're thinking, rein it in, we need to use him, we need him for this. I just love this little interaction here, because it shows the familiarity here. Nav knows exactly what he's thinking, Morel knows exactly what Nav is thinking about him, they can communicate non-verbally entirely. It's a very nice little detail that shows the relationship they built up. You know, I get it, we're here on business, I gotta rein it in, control yourself. And yeah, this scene is also an allusion to Pariston. They talk about the I guess it was the next one. Yeah, here they're talking about mostly the plan. In the next one they talk about Pariston. But again, Togashi planting seeds for future plot threads. So many chapters in the future. So early on. And then this is the scene we were talking about as well. There has to be, yeah, that'll be in the next episode. That's where Hannah just went full on. You know that meme with that guy pointing at the board of all these things? I don't know what show that's from, but that was Hannah with Nov, and I loved it. Always Sunny. Always Sunny. But yeah, this is the, which shows how far the boys have come, because before this arc, they would have never even come close to being in the same ballpark. True. Very true. But this is the scene we're talking about. They have to allow sacrifices for this plan, and Knuckle is just so against that. Are you sleepy? Want me to put you to sleep? I need to show the voice acting here. Knuckles' voice actor is so good. Are you sleepy, eh? They work really well together as well. We just have 3 partnerships here of people, of 2 guys who just know each other on varying levels, but nonetheless know each other well enough to work together. Like, Shoot here is such a compliment to Knuckle. Yeah, Hashi Senju, I think it is. Yeah, so Knuckle here agonizing about all the sacrifices. And then, how can you be so calm? And then Shoot, because if we lose our cool, billions could die. It's bigger than this. You have to have longer-term thinking. And you can understand where both of them are coming from. And I think Shoot's restraint here is extremely admirable. And Knuckles' resultant restraint as well. Everyone dies if we don't do this. We need to do our job. Again, rein it in. Rein it in. This episode is 3 partnerships where Killua, Nov, and Shoot telling the other side of their partnership, rein it in for the sake of the mission. It's kinda Kino how poetically that's structured. It's so good. It's so good. But yes. You're telling me to sacrifice 5 million to save the human race? Yes, that's exactly what I'm telling you. If you have a better idea, I'm open to it. And then Shoot here. We must put our lives on the line to do so. And this is even more admirable, because to jump ahead a little bit, we know the anxiety Shoot has for things like this. Like, we know his internal thought process about putting himself out there and sacrificing himself for the sake of all these things. He seems calm on the outside, but he is a mess on the inside, and yet he's able to do that for the sake of the world, for the sake of calming down his partner here, for the sake of what needs to be done, you know? And then there's Netsudo the Chad, who doesn't need anyone to rein him in. Netsudo cannot be reined in. A great callback to this scene in episode 115. True. Very true. Yep. And then, this is what Hannah alluded to earlier. If blaming me consoles you, then just go ahead. This is what needs to be done. And then, this again, Gon thinking about Killua. He was acting a little weird. I don't have Snowman, Andres. And then we have, just... I mean, the designs here are creative, I'll give him that. But, I don't care too much about these Chimera Ant grunts. They're essentially... Also, I like how weak his face looks without without the glasses. It seems like he did. And then Melioran's trailing him, sort of appraising his strength. And yeah, that's this episode. Oh, and this is the first episode we hear Hiyori Itai, I think. Main characters who are terrified and scared of what they got to do and doing it anyway. Peak, incredible, wonderful, so delicious, my god. And this series is chock full of them. Togashi generic grunt fights are so clear in Battle Shonen. Ah, yes. Yeah, Lomocat. Brawl's soundtrack is amazing. Some of the ants appear just to just spawn with clothes, but I feel that ant deliberately went out to get the shades. I tend to theorize that as well, Concerned Bud. He just seems the type, you know. Yeah, Andres. These grunt battles always have a focus. I'm gonna skip through them, or I'm gonna skim through them pretty fast, but they are done well. They always have a purpose. They're always there's always some sort of function to them, some sort of significant function to them. And there's some sort of dynamic that Togashi puts thought into, like the sonar here, the dynamics between the owl and the sound in general, and how it's presented, pretty cool. Cool shirt, thank you. Yeah, and Gon uses paper again as well. Yeah, the bat uses ultrasonic waves to anticipate the timing. And this again shows Gon's flexible thinking, right? I think it's intelligent and clever of Togashi to have a fight in here to remind us of Gon's flexible dynamic thinking and the way he's able to fall back and adapt in different sorts of situations. Because up until this point, we've seen a lot of Gon's narrow-mindedness in the past few episodes, his tunnel vision, and how he is brittle in a lot of ways. And his the flexibility eventually comes, and his way to compensate eventually comes, but only when he's pushed to the absolute brink. And that flexibility comes in, it's fine, we'll get Kite back, we'll get stronger. It's very simplistic. It's very desperate. But this is quite different. This is classic Gon thinking his way through fights, and reminding us that this guy is very clever, very creative. The Killua getting gunned down by Kikologo has to be one of my favorite moments in the series. So tense, engaging, interesting. I think that's... Yeah, that's next episode, yeah. But yeah, and then Melioran's observing the whole time as well. Gon's a smart boy. And again, these fights are well presented in the anime too. Well presented in the manga as well, I'm sure. I don't remember them much, but it's Togashian fights, so... And it's interesting how he frames this. Their weakness is that their movements are always in sync, which is something that sort of coordination is something you'd assume to be inherently positive. But yeah, he uses their teamwork against them, knowing where they're going to be, knowing the blind spot, right? And then he Team Rockets them. Bit of a hint at something he may do in the future. And then Melioran's impressed. So Killua continues his disruption. Sorry, let me just quickly see chat. Reading through York New in the manga right now, Togashi's paneling makes fights so fluid. Yeah, it's super smooth. It just flows like water. Awesome visuals for sure. For sure, Wolfman. People don't notice it much, but Gon kind of resolving some of his flaws in this fight. Yeah, I think it's a welcome reminder that, you know, he's heading towards a certain trajectory. But, you know, it's not a linear trajectory. There are, just with all things, all sorts of progressions, whether they be negative or positive, there are peaks and valleys and regressions and progressions. And it's very organic in that way. with regards to Gon here. In Jajonkin, he used it as a feint, but now he can move while charging it. Yeah, that's what I was thinking as I was just playing that, but I didn't say it. He doesn't have to stay still. Like, Knuckle literally said to him, you have two big problems. That was one of them. Sorry. It's so great, especially after he removes a noodle. You can see how confident Killua is. Yeah. Killua is just imbued with this confidence. And then, yeah, Killua continues his disruptions. He's just saying, you gotta leave, you gotta evacuate, warn other people. Pito's noticing that something's going on. And Pito's impressed by it. Decoy? What's happening? This is so annoying. I want to kill them, but Pito has to remain at their post. So, and then here, there are a couple of little scenes here that I really like. It's nothing more than a diversion. Very calm. We cannot go. Love this shot, by the way. It's a great reaction image. Just, and again, rein things in. From Poof. It may be an act to draw you out, but maybe I'm overthinking things. And then we have this. How I long to indulge myself in the delight of agonizing. One of my favorite little texturized, it's kind of a postcard memory, but it's also moving. I don't know. This is beautiful. This is so Poof. This is Poof in his element. Before he spirals, before he goes dark, just pure sheer beauty and agonizing in the delights of the thought process. But this is key too, because what is one of the most important lines when it comes to Poof is what Yuppie says in episode 108, which is literally, you always think too much. You always just think too much. And it's dwelt on here. How I long to indulge myself in the delight of agonizing. The delight of agonizing. Poof is so, for better or for worse, he internalizes and thinks over so many things. The sweet trap of the thought process. The sweet trap of the thought process is shown so many times throughout this arc, and it is his boon, and it is his tragic flaw, leading to the way he idealizes his ideal king rather than who the king actually is. So it's a double-edged sword, the sweet trap of the thought process. But I love how it's introduced here, and it's so calm and gentle and beautiful. And the music playing in the back, Into the Palace playing here. Oh. And then Pito just going, huh? What do you mean? I love it. He's so, and then the little flowery aura around him. The Poof presentation, it's hard to find characters that are better presented in this adaptation than Poof. You know, Hisoka's up there. Gon, through a lot of the things they do with him. Killua, through a lot of those things. Pariston's a big one. But Poof is right up there. Chrollo as well. Yuppie is very wise. Yuppie's simplicity cut through everything and just literally laid bare Poof's tragic flaw. You always think too much. Oh, I love him so much. I love him so much. Poof is so amazing. Look at the boy. And the voice actor. One of the best performances in the entire series. Easily. I've only heard him in one other thing, I think, which is in Kuroko no Basuke. He plays one of the characters on Rakuzan. And then, yeah, Leol just goes, I'll do something for you. Someone's running around disabling my puppets. Please kill them. So please just straight up kill the hunters. Or Killua. it's just it's really lovely to just have our eyes on them. It's just cool. These guys who are at this point still quite foreign to us, just to be in their world and understand their thought process and the different personalities and how they intermingle. Mm. Yuppie is Finks's cousin. Pearson is Poof's cousin. What a great family. And this smile here, oh man. Oh yeah, Yuppie's voice actor is very popular. Gendo Ikari, Hasegawa from Gintama, etc. Speaking of Gintama, condolences, Shadow, about your new feelings towards the series. I know that feel. Killua continues his job, and then he comes up to this. Oh, love it. Love it. And then he goes, I can't go this way. I need to get out of here. And notably, this instinct to run away is... It almost feel you can almost mistake this for a scene that happened before he took the needle out. That's how powerful this is from Netero. Yeah, the Gintama switch up. To be fair, it was a long-term favorite of Shadows. For me, it was like a couple of years. But yes, the fact that he acts this way and there's no needle, it's crazy, and you can just about see the silhouette. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. Also, just cool little visual presentation of the overlaying. I forgot the technique. What is this called again? There's a word for this technique. It's using the True Detective opening. Maybe someone in chat knows it. But yeah, Shido's heading towards East Corto. He's keeping an eye on him. And he wants to stop Shitu. So he doesn't want him to slip away. He thinks it's a good opportunity to get rid of Cheeto here. But what I love here is he doesn't oppose him here. He's not trying to stop him. He goes, yeah, I'll help you. But we got to contact Morel because he'll need to replace us if something happens to us. I'll come with you. I'm with you. Oh, okay. And then, oh, this is the scene. So what is it that Pete... Oh, I don't know if Hannah's still in chat. What is that Knob's reading here? I love this. I told you to send Ryaki. Secret Garden. Okay. Perfect. Huh? I don't give a damn. So here... he's reading a book called Secret Garden, which is... I haven't read it. I don't know much about it, but it potentially has a lot of allusions to... Like, thank you for the follow, Matt. A lot of allusions to a potential Nov betrayal, a potential Nov going dark arc, which, if you'll remember what I said last stream about the way he was talking about, or talking to Palm, could allude to some sort of fishy, sus aspects to Nov. And a lot of the little facial expressions he has here. But the setup in this scene is unbelievable. See ya, Introverted. Have a good rest of the day. So association dogs. They sent association dogs. So the idea of hunters who are just chosen, hunters who only take jobs through the Hunters Association, who are called dogs. They have less talent. They're chosen just for those purposes. There's lots of red tape going on in the Hunters Association. There's lots of stipulations and customs and rules. And he had to argue with the executive committee just to get Nov and Morale out here, which tells a hell of a lot. They have such a small squad, and to get like two of the most important aspects of that squad. He had to argue with them. So the red tape here. But yeah, so like Hannah says here, I was conspiracy theorizing that Nov was so disengaged in this scene, like so calm and cool, and reading this book about the neglect and healing that the association has all this neglect, he could be going with the VP as a healing of it. So the Secret Garden alludes or is focused in large part to the idea of healing and neglect. And they're talking here about how the association has all this red tape. It's very reductive. It doesn't function properly. How the association is neglected. And then how, if you look at the symbolism of that book, The Secret Garden, as you can see there, you can see it written there, perhaps Nov could be a part of the vice chairman's faction to heal it, skulking in the shadows. That's what Hannah was theorizing, which is such a cool... Obviously, we know that ends up not being the case. But it's such a cool theory to have because nothing really disproves it up until this point. It's very well thought out. That plus the Nov and Palm scene, I was like, oh god, Nov betrayal. And he uses Palm and oh no. Yeah. Which is such an interesting direction for your mind to go in with all those hints. But Nov ends up being very pure and quite the opposite of that. But it's just such a cool thing to think about. People ask him why Netsudo didn't bring more and stronger hunters with him, especially with the next arc's context, but this scene answers it so clearly. Yeah, he couldn't. He had to pull teeth to just bring these two. And he also defends... He does play devil's advocate as well. Yep, he defends them. How can you be so real? And yeah, Morel's lines kind of allude to it as well. And then Nov just like looking right here, very pensive, very reflective. And then the fogged over glasses. The review board, self-preservation, all this stuff. And then they're referring to the vice chairman's faction. Honestly, put into your mind for a second that theory we just talked about with Nov, and the way this is directed, you could easily see why someone could think that. That they're only giving work to hunters who agree to vote for him in the next election. Pariston establishment, top-notch. Top-notch. Who could they potentially be talking about here? It couldn't be an amazing political personification and antagonist and one of the best conveyances of Togashi's thoughts about politics, right? It couldn't be. It couldn't be. I love Pariston. Politics in my anime? Hell no. And then there's no evidence of anything like that happening. And then this as well. They've let every squadron leader they've faced escape alive. The chairman will shoulder the blame if the expedition fails. As they claim more victims, the voices calling for the chairman's resignation grow louder. And then Nov, again, very reserved. I love the gesticulations from Morel. They are just polar opposites here. It's actually me, but in Hunter x Hunter. Andres, are you going through your Pariston phase? The side eye. I went through my Pariston phase. Also, the close-up of him just shaking his fists here. I love it. You can really feel Morel's frustration. Yeah, it makes a ton more sense why Pariston would want to be difficult to fail his mission. Why'd you do this to me, Nov? And then this sequence is so cool. This episode in general, the Gon stuff is good. I'm not super interested in the Gon stuff, but then the second half, like, comparatively, it's still good. It's still clever. The second half is great, though. The Royal Guard dynamics with Poof, Pito, Yuppie, the Killua stuff here, the hint about Netsudo, Knuckle and Shoot, this scene here, and then how coalesces here. Marcos is getting cold feet. There's talks of a cold coup d'etat. It's actually happening. I wonder what's going on here. Under martial law, and it's done to combat malcontents that would foment rebellion. I don't know what foment even means. Stay indoors, keep your doors locked. Anyone outdoors without permission will be identified as a rebel and punished. Look what Killua does. Rent-free. He causes all of this. Alright, Hannah, enjoy your stream, enjoy your Danganronpa. Foment instigates. Ah, I'm learning new things all the time. Thanks for hanging out, Hannah. Hope you enjoy your stream. I'll be in there once I'm done this one. Can't believe Togashi shoving politics down our faces and throats. He has been doing so since the beginning. Just very subtly. Subtly shoving it down our throats. And then look at what our boy does. He's doing all this. I'm so proud. The response was too fast. It must be Killua and Gon. So in the end, it ends up being pretty inconsequential for the reasons he's saying here. And it gives them an excuse to mobilize, like he says. And it isolates them. But this line is so raw. This line is so... Oh, it's so good. No problem. And then... Oh, Hyori Itai? Hold on. Gotta get all of it. No problem. Peak! You can bring out your tanks and fighter jets. I will stop them all. My king! And then Hyori Itai. Oh, it's so good. How can you not watch the next episode after seeing an ending like this? This new ED, Killua saying that, how it all coalesces here, everything's coming together. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. And episode 100. Oh, it's so good. Watching this weekly, insanity. Place your bets, everyone. An entire nation's military versus one white-haired boy. Bets on the white-haired boy. Channel points. Wager your channel points right now. Okay, and then... Okay, we have the opening right away. And then, so Knuckle and Shoot are doing what they plan to do, which is capture, also, love the distortion here, as through this amazing Chitu cut. No wonder they used it again. Fish siblings time. I think that's next episode. Yeah, that's next episode, Andres. 15k on the boy. How effective were guns in modern tech on hunters? I'd like to see a hunter like Kiritsugu who uses modern tech. It depends. I mean, it would work on some, but like, for example, Uvo, bullets were useless. Not gonna spoil, but I just read a part in the Succession War where bullets are useless. But that's a whole different story. We'll get into that. It depends on the hunter. Weekly since Gon and Killua lost? Oh, that must not have been fun at all. Well, fun, but the wait not being fun. Oh, there's a small retcon for this later on. The range is changed from 100 meters to 50. Interesting. I'm here to see the fish siblings breaking? Hey, we're gonna get to it next episode. Yeah, it is interesting that he changed it. Maybe Knuckle just did a bunch of training in between, off screen. Pike, who's worse, Pike or the Ortho siblings? Oh, I don't have a breakdown for it, Andres. I just don't think they're interesting. And they contribute to one of my least favorite episodes in the series. That's basically the extent of it. Who's worse? Fish siblings. But okay, yeah, they want to catch Chitu. They want to get a hit on him. They want to ambush him, and then he changes direction right in the middle of it. And again, another example of Shoot reining him in. He isn't supposed to know how to deal with Zetsu. He might have been helped. And yeah, he was helped. They were trying to ambush Chitu-sama. I warned him before he went into their trap. Nice coordination. They're competent. So yeah, Leol's doing the bidding. He's been getting orders from Pito. You don't think fish incest is interesting? As a concept, yeah, but this is Hunter x Hunter. This is Hunter x Hunter. What was I gonna say? The only reason I really put Pike, if I had to choose, put Pike ahead is because he contributes significantly to one of the standout moments in the early Chimera Ant arc. He's relevant. He's relevant to the Ponzu Pockle being captured, Ponzu death. It's just a fact. He's relevant, so I gotta give him some props for that. Do you delete the streams afterwards? No, I don't. None of that, Wolfman, please. None of that. Worm? Worm's fine. Worm's cool. Whatever. Worm is vibing. Okay. And then Gon notices he's being pursued. Someone's still following me. Conversation between Chitu and Leol talking about APR. And then Leol says, you should probably go check that out. Sorry, you want me to get rid of it? I can probably get rid of it. I got a new power. If you want a new power, go and talk with Poof. Just Chimera and stuff. Yeah. No, this is all fair use, Pongi. No, Wolfman, I'm serious. I don't want anyone saying anything pro-incest, ironic or otherwise. Please, I'm serious. We're on episode 100. Poof being able to bestow powers on other ants is not talked about enough. It's interesting because it's almost an off-screen thing that happens. It hardly ever gets dwelt upon directly when we have scenes with regards to Poof. But yeah, it is interesting. Oh, thank you, Blaze Rage. It is wild. He's literally able to, yeah, like you say, bestow powers onto other ants. Just randomly really cool shots here with the leaves. Like, why does this look so randomly good? It's okay, Wolfman. Just keep it in mind. It's no big deal. Just no. I don't have many rules for this channel aside from don't be a dick and stuff like that. It ties in with spiritual messages, being able to figure out a person's personality and what kind of abilities would fit them most. Yeah, that's sort of interpersonal intelligence, I guess you could say. It definitely keys into that. Yeah, and he takes down the whole damn squadron without using his abilities. Unlocked Needleless Killua. Kind of OP. And then, yeah, he blows a fart at him. Yeah, Poof does do a lot of interesting things in the background. He blew a fart at me, god damn it. Okay. And then, so... Great use of music, by the way. And then here. These, the homing... their coordination here is kind of raw, I can't lie. And then we have Ikal go here. I kind of like his humming. My freedom, oh yeah. The ticks, yep. Oh yeah. Camper. Oh yeah, sorry, fleas, yes. The subversion here, though. Ikalgo being a parasite of sorts and using this as a host, very cool. I like Ikalgo a ton. I like Ikalgo a lot. And so this being his introduction is really cool. But the tactic here, essentially bleed him out, make him bleed out, just a gradual accumulation of these sorts of shots that lead to a weakness and fatigue. Yeah, and the characterization does switch up. It does switch up. Like this, maybe he was influenced in some way by the host here, but like this, it's interesting. Because he never acts like this once he gets out of his host. Yes, JTD, Ikal Goat. And the way Killua like doesn't know what's happening to him, but is able to think and adapt. Let's see what he can do. So he expands his aura around him and maintains it. It's not his forte. So he keeps his aura within range. Togashi with the odd specifics, mere 57 centimeters from his body. Why 57? There's some reason for it, I'm sure. He was acting ruthless. I don't mean his ruthlessness, I mean his attitude. Like, he's so jovial and playful as he's singing here and going, okay, the freedom, da, da, da. So after that, it just completely changes. Maybe it's a result of the circumstances. Maybe it's something to do with the host. Yeah, so oddly specific, but never changed, Togashi. So the moment, so the idea is the moment it comes within his range, he didn't dodge, but he was able to react. Oh yeah, and he let himself hit so he could locate it. Killua is so smart. And then Gon goes towards this desert. Bring it on! And then Melioron reveals himself. I didn't want you to get away, I couldn't let you die. What's your reason for approaching me? And then, so I like this. Listen, I'm not lying. I'm not trying to defeat you or trick you. To which Gon goes, okay, I believe you. Of course, it's hard to believe. So again, Gon's simple nature, his ability to intuitively sort of appraise people and react accordingly with regards to his appraisal. But then we're skipping ahead to the next episode, or maybe the 2 episodes from now? I don't remember for sure. Now a dark tinge is added to it, where he says, if you're lying, it makes it totally easy to just kill you. That makes things easier. We'll get to that, though. Yeah, Gon is very smart until the, okay. But he could be using his intuition, which ends up being, if that ends up being the case, is very accurate. Melioron is someone who is extremely, like an ally, a solid ally. More than solid. Somewhat the origin of Godspeed. Yes, very true. Yeah, Wolfman, I get that for sure. Eh? And then Killua continues to chase him. This is a trap. Oh yeah. Hey Pedrolito. Welcome in. Also, this is raw. The quick flash. Also, this is grotesque. Looking for a taste of hell, here you go. And then we got all these piranha chimera ants. What's interesting is that they're literally unable to... They realize that this is Ikalgo's host, but they're literally unable to stop themselves. The blood is calling to us, as they say. Sugon chops off his leg. Gone. Killua chops off his legs. The suction cup saved me. Aren't you an octopus? He's not an octopus. And here we have Ikalgo. Sorry. Episode 101 has Kino, Gon, and Melioran interactions, but it also has fish siblings. True. Okay, I was making... I didn't... Ooh. One of the rawest shot in the episode, right off the bat. Okay, episode 101. People can also kind of guess intent by the aura if you're not plant-like as Netero. Sure. But I think Ikalgo... I think Melioran was being very intent on concealing a lot of that and being secretive. And I tend to associate Gon. Like, Gon as a character, I think, has more to do with that intuition than that. Which is why I just automatically jumped to the intuition argument, you know? But yeah, that is true. The dreaded 101. Yeah, I meme. 101 isn't bad. It isn't a bad episode. It's just a lot of this episode, I just spend going, all right, okay, let's move along. Let's move it on now. Let's move it along. Which is basically the only time in Hunter x Hunter I've ever felt that way. Because it's like, Killua's not gonna die. This is just, he's not gonna die in this random cave against these random incestuous fish siblings. It's not gonna happen. I guess the dartboard thing is kind of cool. It's cool. It's clever. I just don't really care. But it has some good stuff for Ikalgo. It has some good stuff for Melioran and Gon, I think. Does it? Yep. It has some good direction. The blood is calling to us, yeah. Octopus are the most intelligent invertebrates. One of the best. Ikalgo has the fourth wall-breaking power, admonishes the narrator for misspeciesing him, as expected. Time to analyze every second of the fish sibling stuff. I don't have much to say. Honestly, I don't have much to say. I love Ikalgo too, he's so great. True, I do enjoy the fish siblings to my... Blaze Rage, sorry. But AJ, fish siblings is a little detour that you should enjoy to the fullest. I do enjoy it to the fullest. Just the fullest is just... Nah. That's the most I can enjoy them. Yes, JTD. Yeah, we mentioned that just a couple of minutes ago, but it's so cool that Togashi foreshadowed it through that little detail. The episode still has its merits? Absolutely. Definitely. It's an episode of Hunter x Hunter. So, that goes without saying for sure. I felt that way during the Palm dating mini arc until Killua's needle moment. I'd never felt that felt dragged out, personally. You see, for me, I felt a lot of tension with the scene in Killua losing blood. Like, to me, even if I knew he wasn't gonna die, I was convinced he was super close to death. Yeah, the thing with me is I'm convinced he's super close to death, but that it doesn't matter. Like, I just never felt like it was gonna be consequential. Uh, him being close to death, him not dying, it just never felt. It has plot relevance because obviously it leads to Ikalgo and Killua becoming great friends. And so it plays a function in that way. But I think all of the tension, because the direction puts a lot of weight on there being tension here. Then they do a little bit of a death fake out as well. It just falls flat for me. Leo versus Morale. Oh, I kind of feel that way with Leo versus Morale a little bit as well. Yeah, Sarah, I do agree with that a little bit. Fair, Andres. I like the different relationships, both of them, that they make with the Chimera ants. How Killua became a friend with Ikalgo, and Gon sees Melioran as an ally, and if he tries to do anything bad, Gon will kill him without hesitation. Me too. I love that parallel. Best part of the Fish siblings was the panel where Togashi uses Killua's arm to get around needing a censorship bar. That's cool. I didn't remember that. Fish siblings are a metaphor for blind trust, the difference between them and the relationship with God and Killua. Write this down. Oh my goodness. I did not mean for this to inspire debate at all. It just... Me not loving a Hunter x Hunter episode isn't a big deal. I don't care. It doesn't bother me at all. It's just the episode's fine. It is what it is. Ikalgo might be singing at first because hiding in a host gives him a sense of security and confidence. The next time we see him hiding, he's tricking the Chimera ants, who would probably know that Ikalgo sings while he's in a host. True, that's a good point, Alley Cat. And after that point, he never really has that sense of security again throughout the entirety of the arc. So that's a good point. Yeah, that could easily be it. I like the way that Morel beats Leol as well. I just think it drags on a little bit, in the anime at least. But yeah, the fight is cooler. I do agree. I also felt that way when I watched this episode. I don't hate it. It adds some stuff. Sure, here we are. Here we see Ikalgo's and Killua's friendship forming. Okay, it cuts off there. Yeah, I get that for sure, Andres. I get that for sure. Yeah, Morel fights with regards to what Pedrolito says. I mean, we'll get into it probably next week, I assume. But Morel fights in general are... You can just... They're just imbued with so much knowledge and maturity and experience and adaptable thinking, but more focused on experience than anything else, I think. And just calmness. He's so chill, and he knows exactly what he's doing. He's such a focused thinker. I just love... You can just feel the experience imbued throughout Morel, through any of his fights. Yeah, exactly. Ikalgo is best. You can't say it's just fine. It's got to be some law against that. Cancel me. Cancel me. Anyways, we need to move on. Don't call me an octopus. Oops. We meet again. Long time no see. Can I ask you something? Sure, go ahead. Why don't you dive underwater? Yeah, they attack the injured. So... Tell me about his power, I'll spare your life. And then I'm trying to get to a very specific moment. Nux can help you. Also, this shot is just so randomly beautiful. I love it. Nux can help you with that? Huh? Sorry, I don't know what you mean, John Char. It's very versatile. It's very versatile. Morale does exude confidence. Okay, Wolfman, whatever works for you. I wanted to be reborn as Squid. Just the lighting. His eye, just how he's animated here. I would have given anything to be... I need to voice this. I need this to be voiced. The longing in his voice. I would have given anything to have been a Cairo Toothus Imperator. It kills me. It kills me. Oh, here it is. Octopi are ugly. Squid are squiderific. Peak fiction. Oh, I'm not familiar, John Char. I'm not sure what you're referring to. Squid are squiderific. It was so randomly beautiful. 2 seconds. Kilo's just like, what the hell are you talking about, my friend? 2 seconds. I won't betray a buddy, which is very indicative of his character. I'm out of here. And then Killua here, I could see that in your eyes. Like, what the, this is so funny. It is so funny and good, the way this is presented. The sparkling water. The glorious look in his face. Yeah, I'm not familiar. Anything to do with Nux Taku, I don't know. I've talked to him a couple times. I've been on his podcast once a few years ago. I don't know anything about Nux Taku aside. Like, I don't keep up with him, John Char, so I wouldn't be familiar. Yeah, it's really funny because they use the same theme. They use the same theme, the musical theme, in the scene that Ponzi was getting eaten. So that the complexion could be totally different is insane. But then Killua grimaces here, and he saves him. Because he's a cool guy. Thank you for the follow, Psychopomp. This scene is so weird. It wouldn't be Hunter x Hunter if it didn't get weird. Oh, wait, and then this one. In different circumstances, we could have been friends. And I love the expression on his face. It's very genuine and raw. And so while I say that I didn't feel tension as a result of, like, the weight being placed on the potential for Killua potentially being killed, like, I didn't feel tension because of that, Killua himself very much feels like he could die here. And so a lot of the actions he does here, I think, are very contributory to his character. Like what he does for Ikalgo, for example. He is in dire straits, for sure. He's been fighting with his bare hands. And then Ikalgo here begins shifting a little bit. And then I love this. I have no qualms about killing you. This is my first time seeing you live stream. This is by far my favorite anime, and I'm just in time to see for Ikalgo being the coolest guy. Welcome in, Toddward. Glad you were able to catch it. Glad you were able to catch it. Ikalgo is one of the coolest guys. He is one of the MVPs. And then they also, cool direction here, like the colors. Then they plant the badge on him. Time to start the game. Here are your goats, guys. Here they are. Wait, let's just get a good look at their designs. This is the ideal ant form. You may not like it, but this is peak ant form. Thank you for the follow, Kyrithi. Thank you for the follow. Aren't they siblings? Yes, indeed. Killua has grown so much, Josh. We see the sort of manifestation of that, I think, in episode 107 or something like that. when he is healed and everything. But yeah. This dude is 2 weeks old and already balding. Hey, sometimes you get the short end of the stick. Lippy, thank you for the follow as well. Killua and Gon are similar in that respect. People have earned their respect or that they like even after fighting them. They have a harder time dealing with because they're good boys. True. Very true. I think that aspect of Gon rubbed off on Killua. Or rather, maybe revealed it. Either way. Love seeing these cocky losers get absolutely wrecked. Fuck that Meruem guy. We got Peak right in front of us. And then so yeah, the power is, I don't have much to say about the power. It's kind of cool. Digital sound inside my head. And he gets hit by the darts. And he keeps getting hit by them, and then he gets the dartboard on him. And he gets points. And he's not doing well. My dude is not doing well. Reminds me of Death Parade. That's true. That's true. That's a good parallel. I missed the moment where the crocodile ant leaves the nest, but ants going into the water was absolutely terrifying for me. Yeah, that was at the end of last stream. I can't imagine how they're going to get rid of them at this point. It is scary. I mean, we've all watched the end of Chimera Ant, so we know what happens. But there are still tons out in the world, who knows how many. And that's a terrifying thought. What didn't his family teach him? This boy mastered the game of darts at 6, 7 years old. He's a prodigy. 1 in 1 million. Or 10 million. He can materialize 3 at first. Yeah, these are just the rules. They're in their little fish siblings bar. Nice and cozy. But I do love the integration of how he gets out of this. It's hinted at earlier with how he has his... he reacts instantaneously almost to the flea bullet. And how it integrates with his power, it's very clever. But yeah. I taught my kid brother Blackjack to learn him to count. Maybe something similar. Yes, my king. Talk about how he wants to be a nihilistic hero and says not a bad way to die. That would help motivate me as I toss my darts. Yes, king, speak. Yeah, but it's true. Honestly, outside of Killua, like, most characters would die to this. I think that's pretty inarguable. Yeah, that seems like too much, Tommy Strong. 7,000 people? That sounds like too much. He said the word nihilism, which makes him very deep. True. They kind of look like monster characters? Oh. I can see what you mean kind of in the face. The fish guy Dub's voice actor absolutely nails his performance. Interesting. As an ability, I think we have to admit that the Nen Dart is one of the coolest, or at least the most dangerous. It's one of the most dangerous, for sure. Like I said, not many characters could get out of this. This is truly the most weird and off-the-rails part of the whole anime. I love it, though. I'm glad you enjoy it. And it's I like how it keys us into Killua and the ways in which his power is progressing. Why does every great story that's ever been told include incest? Well, to be fair, like, we talk about that and we joke about that and go, ew. But, I mean, there's just some questionable hugging. That's the extent of it, right? Right? That's it, unless I'm forgetting something. Right? There are definitely stories that go way farther with it than this. Fish siblings, greater than Johann Liebert? You heard it here first. It's very scary, JTD, excuse me. I agree. And then so I really love here how Killua just becomes completely zen and focused on what he has to do, and how the darts is a display of their trust. Brother, I trust you. This is peak anime. Killua almost dying scene is also one of the most hard-hitting to me. The presentation of it all gives me chills. Voice acting, blood pooling around him and how it smears when he moves, him being warm and then cold, the light in his eyes going away. I'm really glad it, well, I'm not glad that it makes you sad, and but I'm glad that it affects you in that way, Sarah. Because, yeah, if you're able to get that engaged with it, that's wonderful. Like I said, this episode is overall comparatively a miss for me, in that regard, I guess. But it's great. Like if you guys are able to really like this episode and feel that with regards to Killua, that's awesome. And yeah, the OST is good. Yeah, they're dependent on each other in an unhealthy way. Sure. I don't think much about the fish siblings, so I'll take your guys' word for it. Okay, and then I'll go check his corpse. Go check his corpse, buddy. And then the main draw of this part here is what Gon says here. What made you decide to trust me? I just didn't know why you were following me. It's not that I didn't trust you. And you swore that you weren't lying. And he goes, what do you mean? You just trust people at their word like that? Liars make promises all the time. I wasn't lying. I'm different. I only tell the truth. And then here, though, besides, if you're lying, that actually makes things easier for me. I won't have to show you any mercy. I'll be free to destroy you. His eyes there. It's chilling. Cool, Andres. I have to look at the scene in the manga to see how it's presented. Could Hikago gel well in the One Piece world? Sure. He's a good guy. I don't see why not. And he has one of those far off dreams as well, to become a squid. So there you go. Yeah, that does hit. Like, obviously, like, the reason I'm disengaged with this scene isn't because I don't care about Killua. You guys all know. I don't have to talk about how much I love Killua. You guys know this. It's just not feeling... I don't know. I've said my piece. But yes, the last words of him not being any help to Gon, it hits very hard, and it's also very indicative of, as if we needed to know this, but like we didn't. This has been clear already, but it's indicative of the fact that he still has that unhealthy perception of himself in comparison to Gon. You know, that's still there even now with the needle removed. And yeah, his eyes here. Yeah, and in the same episode where Killua shows compassion and empathy, Gon shows coldness. Yep. And then the way his eyes linger there, great little touch. Great little touch. I love that. Let me just replay that just for that. Ooh, that's so cool. Yeah, you definitely get the feeling that they're growing apart in terms of like thematically characterization terms. While Killua also displays a lot of the things that he'd learned through Gon, their energy just feels to be drifting over time ever so slightly. And they're gonna get a promotion. Good for them. We can be assistant squadron leaders. Yay! Yay! Oh. Raw. My son. My son. Very Phaeton-esque. Very much. And then Ortho Brother lands head up. Luckily for him. And he uses a suction cup from Ikalgo. Using, again, this lightning stuff. It's a precursor to what we see later from him through his abilities, and was hinted at earlier, like last episode, through what he does with his aura, which is just generally really cool. I'll replay the Final Fantasy music. No problem with that. And yes, Chimera ants living without their head. You gotta crush the head. You need to crush the head. Also, this theme playing at this moment, I like it a lot. Great audio direction. Kilo is very intelligent. And then they start fighting. Tragic. They were so close before. The duality of ants. It's crazy reasoning, but hey, it makes sense. It's established. Killua really is a genius. Yeah, he takes that lightning concept and just takes it to all sorts of extremes and all sorts of applications. Gone Following promises this much, and being averse to liars has been there from the very start. It's a through line that becomes more and more extreme through the story. The results of breaking a promise get worse and worse every time. That's a common theme with Gon. The consequences of his actions, or the consequences in general, the negativities, they just get gradually worse and worse over time, leading to more and more desperation and unraveling until we get to the tipping point, right? But yeah, this is a great example of it, like Sarah said there. Reminds me of Princess Mononoke and something I imagine to be some cultural influence, the heads living on and carrying the hatred and will of their owners. Oh, I've never thought about it that way, but very possible. Yeah, Toddward, that was just never possible in this arc specifically. We will need four streams to discuss 131. No, I will die if I have to take 4 streams on that. But we will definitely do it justice. We will definitely do 131 justice. Hopefully. We'll talk about all that anyone wants to talk about there. And there's, like, the presentation alone. There's a lot to say about it. Yeah, it reminds me of Demon Slayer 2. Like, for anyone who just saw the most recently adapted arc. Oh, this is great. Thanks, Andres. This is really good. See ya, Turtle Man. Good night. Hope you sleep well. This is crazy. Are you guys coordinated, your bedtimes? See ya, Pawan Singh, as well. You have a good night too. Thanks for hanging out. But yeah, this is just great. Gone, I'm sorry, I couldn't be of any use. This is really good. I love this. Oh, 4-hour stream. I gotcha. Oh, that's really good. And people want someone who isn't Togashi to draw Hunter x Hunter? Seriously, though. Anyway. And then, yeah, we get to the point where... And the way that the music kind of dwindles here, it coincides with the quieter, more haunting part of the music is really good. And then he just pools in his blood here. I'm taking a warm bath. I can't think about that right now. Now I feel cold. And that last fight gave me a hint for improving my power. I'm really gonna die here. And then the way the song takes this very dark turn with the strings there, the low strings, I think is really good. And then he says he apologizes to Gon with their last interaction in mind. I wasn't any help. The light goes away. But then... Oh. Don't call me an octopus. And then, great use of Legend of the Martial Artist here. Now they'll be hunting you. Don't ask me why I'm doing this. Heart and sentiment over logic. Which is a common theme among quite a few of other characters. You said we could be friends. And so... the torch of kindness passes on. It passes on. Yeah, and his last words being that he wasn't useful, again, it really shows he's still stuck there. He's still stuck there. Oh yeah, it's great directing using that song. Togashi snaps so hard with the Killua art and expressions. I think Killua's, from what I remember, is one of my favorite presented characters in the manga. Great shot there. Along with ones like Kurapika. We'll see whenever I reread it. But yes, episode 102 now. And this is something I think we'll be able to get by, or the first half of this at least, I think we'll be able to get through pretty quickly because a lot of this is just, well, actually no, we need to get to a part. We need to talk about one part here. So he's talking to Melioron, and then this essentially is Melioron just explaining his ability. Perfect plan. And then I love how it's, also cute Gon face. I love how it's explained, how he uses the application of it here. Being the partners, and then the having to be able to trust the people in Gon's outer circle, or inner circle, I guess, but outer circle for him. And his preoccupation with how Gon just doesn't know how to bargain at all. Leorio is Gon's bargainer. Can you even make this decision on your own? I love how cartoonish they are with this. And he's right. Like, Killua wouldn't be very happy with the idea of Gon just willy-nilly trusting people like that, I think, at least. The trash chute goes very hard. Melioron's silly. So he wants to defeat the king, and this is what I was alluding to, for revenge. I can't tell you why I want revenge. Okay. I'd like to know, but I'll wait. If you're that curious, I'll tell you. He's silly. But then here, the king killed someone I owe my life to. And then so it's just a really, really nice little detail here. We were talking about the his reaction to Peggy being beheaded earlier on, and why it was foreshadowing for this, and this is where it comes together. Oh, these pages hit very hard? Oh yeah, this is really good. Is all of this really my blood? Yeah. Just the way he's drawn here, the way he struggles to get up and hits the ground. That's really good. Yeah. But yeah, a nice little detail for Melioron. Interconnectedness. Yeah, how he wants to get revenge. That's his motive. Peggy was the one who raised him, as a human. Again, a nice little use of oh my gosh, what are these big messages coming out of nowhere? Of Kingdom of Predators. The lines are blurred more and more between ant and human. What makes you human and what doesn't? I also always like when characters mention in passing how in their eyes they're the enemy, or we're the enemy, when talking about ants versus humans. They're all just doing what they can to seem they're all just doing what they seem to be in their nature. Malioron saying how blurred the lines is and are, and sorry, I'm having a mini problem. Melioran basically saying how blurred the lines are, / how they're not different is the core of it all. This conversation between them is so key to all of it. Yeah, I totally agree. This is dwelled upon in lots of ways throughout the Chimera Ant arc. The blurred lines between humans, ants, good, what good can even be conceptualized as, what bad can be conceptualized as, perspective, how that flips on a dime, two sides of the coin, Hyori Itai, etc. There are lots of different ways in which that's presented, and I think it's summed up really well, the perspective side of it, through this. And it does set up a Welfin scene as well. Melioran is so down to earth and realistic, but he's such a fun guy. It's ironic that the guy who needs to be able to hold his breath smokes all the time. Yeah, that's a nice little detail. I love Gon's shock at this. It makes me wonder if he's contemplated whether the ants he took down could also remember their human selves and how that affected him. And I wonder if it may have been very subtly set the thought in his head that he may have to face humanity and Pito as well. If it did, that's an interesting point. And if it did, it's something that I feel like he instantly internally repressed. Like, if the possibility, I think it's either something he didn't think of, or if he did, I think it's something he instantly beat down as, no, that won't happen. That can't happen. That's upsetting. I don't want to think about that. Thank you so much, True Dash, for the Prime sub. The subs continue. Thank you so much for the subs today, guys. And if you want that to go towards one of the donation goals, please do let me know. Otherwise, thank you very much. AJ, please sing the ending. I can sing the Hyori Itai part. I've done that in a video. And it makes sense, too, that they would be close since they're from the same generation of ants, since they were killed at the same time. Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's totally consistent with that. Great point. And the power with Morel, yeah, holy shit. But yeah, he remembers all this. Peggy was his foster father's human name. Sorry. Yeah. Carrying books around. He never parted with his books. And then, yeah, I don't know if and then he brings up this point here, I don't know if we're all the same. Some are feral in nature, but I understand now. With others, there's no telling what they're thinking. And then Gon kind of alludes to how he sensed that in him. Hey, Mr. Lyra. How's it going? I'd say you're still human. You're more human than any other Chimera ant I've ever met. Or I've met so far. I love that. I really like that a lot. I'd say you're still human. Oh yeah, Killua represses it. Yeah, it's interesting because Killua and Gon, in different ways, different complexion sort of thing, try to ignore that possibility, particularly Gon, whereas Knuckle actively hopes for it to happen. Right? He says, hopefully the king has a heart as well. Hopefully the king has a heart as well, right? Ugh, it's so good. Thank you, Sarah, for gifting a sub to Pedrolito. Pedrolito, there you go. You got the emotes, you got the sub, you got the badge. Thank you, Sarah. Does that go towards Arcane as well, or would you want to go to something else? Arcane, okay. So I have to add, after this, 6 subs to Arcane. Plus whatever was left over from Guest. Thank you very much, guys. The Gone video is definitely funded, so that'll be cool. That'll be a good video. $391. Sarah, you've gifted $391. That's crazy. The next chapter. Can't wait for the Gone video. Cool. Yeah, I don't know how long it'll take, but the script, I'll now that it's funded, I'll finalize the script really soon. And I'll put it together. I also have to work on my Logtown video for One Piece, but that shouldn't take too long. So yeah, I'll work on it. Oh, toss your banked sub on it? You got it, Isaiah. So 7 for the Arcane stream series. Very cool. Actually, that's 10.5%. I just did the math in my head. So we're at 25%. Okay. And then I love this because Gon says you're very human. I'd say you're still human. And then Melioron says, when I met you, I had the opposite reaction. You're like a feral beast, a vicious beast inside you. And I love how he can sense that right away. That's why I wanted to team up. Another person who, upon seeing that beast, that double-edged sword, so to speak, enables it because it's necessary for their end goals. They harness it to their ends, I guess you could say. Which is understandable for the mission, for everything. Not great for Gon, though. There's no limit to what you'll do. I'm Gon Freaks. And then, so yeah, I love how here he just illustrates what his power does with his bird here. And then flies away. So, and then the utility for that is so key. It is key to everything. It gives them a genuine chance to get close to the Royal Guards and the King particularly, which in combination with Knuckle, which is perfect considering how their two personalities are so compatible in that way, is great. It's great. You're the partner I've been looking for. The perfect guy to smack the King with the strongest attack this world has ever seen, which is cool because also this shot is great. It shows us what Meruem's been doing all this time. Being very intellectual, but no, because what you might think immediately upon this is Gon's Jajanken. Using Perfect Plan with Gon's Jajanken is a great combination, which never ends up coming to fruition. That combination of powers, it just goes. It's better with Knuckle, better with APR, and support in general. Yeah, it's a great plan. But yeah, yeah, from their perspective, I'm the one who's changed. Another appealing to perspective in this arc. And then Gon says here, there's someone who would be better than me, which is very perceptive of him. I'll contact him. Then he talks about the limitations, how they're just invisible. They're not invincible. They're only invisible. He's weak physically, as he says. All this stuff. And then Gon says, I'll prove to you that you can trust my friends. And I love how Knuckle here is supporting what Gon and Killua are doing. It's great. I don't think a defenseless Meruem would be phased by Gon's Jajanken. Oh yeah, for sure. I don't think so either. But I think it's a great plan in concept. Like, they don't fully understand the scale of Meruem. And so I think it just seems, from their perspective, like something that would work. And then nice little swiveling shot of Morel. He's so cool. The boss is surrounding the capital. He's using his puppets. I actually, Blaze Rage, I'd rather not... for Xenoblade 3, I'm not actually wanting to see any of the trailers or anything. I'd rather be completely surprised. So I've purposely been avoiding Xenoblade 3 stuff. I might stream it when it... maybe not directly when it comes out, because I might be busy with other stuff, but it's a game that I might stream. Also, by the way, Blaze Rage put together a thread of every single postcard memory in the anime, if anyone's interested in checking that out, of the Hunter x Hunter 2011 anime, which is crazy. Blaze Rage, if you want to link that, you can go ahead. Still going through the Ace Attorney ones? No worries, Mr. Glyber. I appreciate that you check out the VODs. With Malioron's ability and Knuckles and Knobs, you really think they stand a good chance. They have the tools to make this a somewhat easy win if it works out perfectly. All these abilities are insane and seem almost too perfect to defeat the king, but it never goes as smoothly as we want it to. Starting with, like, Dragon Dive. Dragon Dive. And even though in concept it seems pretty straightforward what they'll have to do to win, it all gets derailed by things that don't have anything to do with their powers or physical capabilities. Nen is a battle of wits through and through. Yeah. Absolutely. They thought what's crazy is prior to the Palace invasion, jumping ahead, they planned for so many eventualities. Killua thought of so many things. And it seems like they might be overthinking things, and yet they clearly weren't, because so many things came up that had an impact in ways they couldn't have imagined. And all the Nov isn't even able to properly take part. All sorts of stuff. And then I love this detail. We can no longer contact the chairman. He's holed up somewhere, preparing. And the bird flies away from it, too. So raw. So, look at this dude. This is shonen personified. Komugi changed everything, yeah. Do we summon reinforcements or do we face the 3 royal guards ourselves? And yeah. Shonen personified, Andres. Look at this. Look at this. Look. You can't even articulate how much shonen is packed into this man. Okay. Killua isn't picking up. Killua's a little bit preoccupied at the moment. Yeah, it's crazy how lots of people tend to talk about how Chimera Ant is subversive of shonen, and it is in a lot of ways, or classic shonen, and it is in a lot of ways, but it's crazy how Chimera Ant, in some ways more than any other arc in Hunter x Hunter, is such a celebration of shonen and all that it is, through so much of what it does. That's what I was thinking as well, Pedrolito. Is it the eagle that went to beat up Komugi? That would be crazy. Truly chaos theory. Togashi's love for shonen given form, exactly. And then we have this, and it's so cool that Meruem, who is so fixated on strength, is able to... This is right from the beginning. Also, firstly, it's just great to check in with him again after not being with him for, what was it, 8 episodes, something like that. Someone who is so preoccupied with physical strength is now trying to push himself in other ways, to be the greatest, to be the king in every dimension and every facet of life. And he's already realized here that strength is not everything. Physical strength. Chimera Ant, to me, celebrates just how valuable a lot of shonen ideologies can be. Yeah, me too. I want to believe they're the same. Me too, Sarah. Like, Netsudo's the obvious one, but we have a lot of stuff through Knuckle. Like, Knuckle in particular, I think of almost immediately. In contrast, through Gon. Some stuff with Meruem as well. Some stuff with Ikalgo. It's all over the place. Yuppie as well. Shoot as well, yep. I can still fly. Oh, yeah. Yeah, and the Succession War, you're hard-pressed to find classically shonen elements. Poof calling Morella a warrior, yep. But yeah, so Meruem has already begun being flexible. He tears that guy's ear apart. The match, and I love this, because he says, the match, my victory was assured 22 moves ago. Why did you keep playing? Because you believe that I would make a mistake? So just the way he frames that, as him looking down on him and the disrespect associated with that, is just so interesting. And then he's done. It's over. Next we have the National Go Champion, where Meruem just reads the book and just goes, alright, bring him in. So I love this. So he sees the body and he goes, the choice is yours. Sit across from me now or die. Try operating at your best when you're given that ultimatum. To which he says, you know, he gives excuses. I have a fever, I'm stressed, which are genuine excuses. He's probably not doing very well, I'm sure. But I like how Meruem obliges him. You know, okay, fine. If you're out of rest, if you need rest, then go. I'll give you 8 hours and all the medicine you need. Rest as if your life depends on it. Which, how are you supposed to rest? If you say that. But nonetheless, I like how Meruem doesn't just automatically see it as a weightless excuse. Imagine Meruem playing Soya from Sangatsu. Oh, that would be insane. Completely unrelated, but something I want to share. I had a dream about Arcane where AJ appeared as Silco. He started gushing about peak fiction, and I fear if I disagreed, he'd kill me. Well, no need for that, right, Mr. Glyra? No need to fear that, because you agree with everything I say. Right? Me being compared to Silco, though, in terms of character strength, if not morals, is quite a compliment. This guy's Kiriyama. I think it was that Meruem would win after a few games. Oh, I saw you're talking about that. Imagine Meruem playing Dark Souls. Honestly, the way that Meruem approaches his matches with Komugi is very Dark Souls player-esque. Is it not? Thank you for the follow, Stank Booty PhD. And then I like what he says here. I'm impressed by how quick you're able to pick up on these games. And Meruem says, it's all about learning the feel. Chess, Go, and Shogi. They have different rules, but all three involve momentum and rhythm and flow. And it's about disrupting that rhythm. So then it brings up the point, what do you do when you literally just can't disrupt the flow in your opponent's rhythm? And this idea of rhythm and flow and momentum is a precursor to his fights with both Netsudo and Komugi, and how he approaches disrupting that flow. Yeah, disrupt Millennium's rhythm and you're absolutely good. Meruem would kill someone for using a summon. A psychological, and I love the really art. I don't know how to explain it, but the way that Poof is like, oh yes, a psychological princess that would apply to any contest. You are truly the greatest, sire. And what he says here is, what's the point of? I don't see the point in playing more games if you've already reached that conclusion. If you're capable of this, to which Meruem says here, oh, sorry, he doesn't say anything, but I think the idea is that no, he needs to conquer everything. Hey, Odd Samurai. Hope you slept well. You came in right towards the end, because I think we're gonna end off pretty soon here. It's how Gon fights. It's not about strategy and strength as much as it is about rhythm and flow. Yeah, Hanzo versus Gon versus Genthru. Yeah, it's all about the flow and the flow of the match and how you can adapt to it or not adapt. The baby's learning to crawl before he walks. Meruem would have tortured you for even thinking about Rivers of Blood. Good thing for me, I only ever used the halberd. I'm into that thought line. When I'm playing Pokemon, I always think to myself, gotta stay a step ahead, or oh no, I'm a step behind. Yeah. It's a general feel, more so than any specific... It's a general feel that manifests in specific outcomes, but the strategy itself is much more feel-based, you know? I think it's neat that he used the word rhythm as an analogy when speaking to the musician. True, that is cool. It might not be intentional, but it feels real, like he's relating to something Poof knows. Yeah, gotta disrupt their flow. And then this country just has one more professional game. Let me turn off my background music for this. Gungi. Originating in East Gorto, with 3 dimensions. It's a different feel due to the different complexion and the addition of the new dimensions. For the past 15 years, they've been world tournaments. They're on their 3rd representative, a 5-time reigning champion. Sounds pretty good. I don't know much about kickboxing, Mr. Glyra, but the way you describe it, it sounds, or like conceptually, like I do know about boxing and conceptually, that does make sense to me. Not Togashi creating a whole ass game just for this one storyline and this one arc. And the thing is, like, there's so much about the game, I'm sure, that he didn't even really reveal in the story, but that he probably just knows internally. It's insane. Gungi time. Yeah, it's a made-up game. It's not real. Well, it is real now, but it wasn't real before. Yeah, Gungi is Hunter x Hunter's original. Gungi is not a real game, yes. Wow, yeah, so a lot of people didn't know that. Yeah, it's not real. Togashi made it up. And yeah, there's tons of symbolism in all the matches, too. Like, the things that play out and how the flow of the match is and which specific pieces get cornered and how Meruem loses, and it's all... A lot of it is precursors or foreshadowing of things that genuinely happen in the story. Like Shadow says, it's well thought and they have story parallels. I won't be able to, as we go through them in future streams, I will not be able to allude to all of them because I just simply don't know them that well off the top of my head, but they're there, and maybe chat can help me as well. Greed Island isn't real either. I hate to break it to you. Greed Island is not real. Togashi says himself he loves to make games. Yeah. And yeah, we were talking about that before. If he was if he decided to make a video game, you can imagine there would be so much thought and complexities put into that. Then if I defeat this champion, I'll be best in the world? Hell yeah. I did Blaze Rage, I have seen that. I hear 441 Soldier and cry. Amen to that, Sarah. What's real, Hashi? You don't have to, in Blaze Rage, you don't have to whisper the link, you can just put it publicly. Oh, that's cool, Adam. I'm just looking at the name of the link there. Um, official real life Gungi. But here we go. Sorry, I was looking at the, and then I love this. It goes all quiet here. You just hear the ambient white noise or whatever, just the gentle sound of the wind. And here we go. The nod and the nod, and we let her in, and all you see is the silhouette and the gentle tapping of the walking stick. Ah. And here comes the true queen. Yes, indeed. Komugi, I think upon my rewatch, I've pretty much decided that it's tough between my favorite. Not that it matters. The strength of the cast as a whole really matters more so than the strength of male characters or female characters, but I think Komugi is my favorite female character in Hunter x Hunter. Pakunoda is really close as well, you know. But I think upon rewatch, that's what I would have to conclude. And this is before Morena gets to strut her stuff in future chapters, of course. That's a given. But yeah, I love Komugi. She is so good. She is so good. She's amazing. And then what the narrator says here, to cut the silence with a knife. Melody isn't really. I love Melody, but she isn't in my top 3 or so. Maybe she's my 3rd. I don't know. I'd have to think about it. Theta's great too. And Komugi is drawn so beautifully. 3 days until the election. How this girl's about to influence his fate. No, Hood Ratata. Oh, wow. This is cool, because usually people come into the streams knowing me from my YouTube stuff, but no. Hunter x Hunter's my favorite story of all time. This is a rewatch sort of analysis discussion. I've made literally dozens of YouTube videos about the series. Yeah, Lucky Lazo. Well, you came right at the right time, but we're probably going to end after this episode. I think this is a really good stopping point. He had no idea and we didn't either. It's insane. Komugi's injection into this arc, it changes everything. It changes absolutely everything about multiple things. Multiple plot points, multiple characters, the themes. Oh, it's insane. And then the way that Hiyori Itai flows in here. Let's just talk over this part, this scene right here. Oh, the credits are overshadowing it. There we go. Perfect. Theta is teaching Terra Sandwich, but we're not going to talk too much about the manga stuff in this specific stream, but it's Theta, yeah. That's interesting. Hashi Senju says the narrator wasn't needed. He spoils stuff. I think it's great. I love the narrator's line here. I mean, the weight placed upon the scene alone, I think, tells you that this is very significant. I don't have a problem with it personally, but I don't know if other people do. Melody, Komugi, and Pakunoda, that would maybe be my top 3 as well, Andres. But like I said, other characters in the succession, again, won't go into specifics, but like, Oito has tons of potential. Morena is so AG core. I need more from her. We'll see. How old is Komugi? I don't think we know for sure, but I think she's late teens. I think people have estimated and done the math, and I think it works out to her being in her late teens. Togashi, when he thought of Komugi, insert omniversal brain meme. And in 3 days, Meruem changes drastically. Yeah. She's the catalyst for his evolution. She's the stimulus. He had been evolving, and he had slightly started viewing things with a bigger perspective with a more open-minded perspective for reasons I was alluding to earlier. but she just completely changes everything. Oito has a lot of potential. It's my favorite, Lucky Lazo. I think it has to be my favorite. Yeah, to me, the narrator in this is amazing. Like, the way he just cuts the silence with his lines there, and how it transitions into Hiyori Itai. To me, it's great drama, great dramatic presentation. I wouldn't change it. But I'm interested in, I understand the logic behind what Hashi is saying there. So I'm interested if other people agree. Camilla's really interesting too, yep. Morena, I mean, I can't talk. I don't want to talk too much about Succession War. I was gonna go off about Morena. Okay, so yes, I think we're gonna end off here, guys, for today's Hunter x Hunter analysis discussion stream. We did, what was it? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Just 7 episodes today. Usually it's closer to 10, so it's a bit shorter. But I think this is a good stopping point. For next week, I plan to do 103 to at least 110. Depends on how much we talk about, because there is tons of material there. Maybe we can maybe we can start the Palace Invasion. We'll see. But at the very minimum, 103 to 110 for sure. Because when Komugi enters, I feel like things change. So I don't really want to get into just talking about 2 or 3 episodes from here on. I really want to do the pre-invasion stuff all in one stream. Cool, John Shar. Glad you could join. Yeah, the impression Morena leaves. Oh, we will get there. We will get there. Morena is so awesome. Thank you for the follow, Crackleberry. But yeah, if you guys are just new to the channel, I'd recommend following if you want to keep up with my streams. Currently, the schedule is every Wednesday we do Hunter x Hunter discussion streams going throughout the series. Like I said, next week we'll go up to the Palace Invasion, maybe a bit into it as well. This Friday we'll be doing a One Piece reading stream, where I'm reading through One Piece for the first time. Sunday we have anime reactions, the last anime reactions to Spy Family and Kaguya-sama, and maybe some One Piece as well. Mondays are Ace Attorney, and then we do it all over again. So yeah. So Shadow, I think we'll go to 110. I definitely want to get to before the Palace Invasion. So 110 minimum. Or maybe we could just end at 110. We'll see. But there is so much to talk about in this stretch from 103 to 110 or so. There's so much to talk about. Yeah, this week's Kaguya is double length. Yeah, so for anyone Andres, Shadow, anyone else who wants to pull up manga stuff for when we get into the Palace Invasion, please, I would love that. I would love to share some of the panels because, like I said, it's been years since I read it, and so I'm less familiar. So that perspective is always welcome, especially so for the Palace Invasion. Sarah, jumping in with the gifted 5 subs right at the end. Thank you so much again. Thank you so much again. Thank you so much for the support, for always contributing, for always sharing your thoughts and insights, and for defending 101 from my uncultured eyes and words. Thank you so much, Sarah. What do those go towards? Really appreciate, guys. These streams are so insightful and entertaining to do. They're a joy to me. So thank you so much for coming out every week and sharing. Arcane stream, you got it. Plus another 5. Okay, but yeah, with all that said, I think that's about it for this week. I'll see some of you guys on Sunday. Friday for the One Piece reading stream, where we'll finish the arc, maybe finish the next one if it's shorter. We'll see. And let's do a raid of Hannah, who is currently, she was in chat earlier for the first couple of hours. She's currently playing through Danganronpa for the first time, so if you're interested in that, do check it out. But otherwise, thank you for hanging out. I'll see some of you guys on Friday or next Wednesday whenever you come out. And thanks. Have a great rest of your week or your day. I'll see you Friday.
This is a school announcement.